Hey guys, things are finally getting cold, except for in California, where there apparently have been a maximum of like 16 forest fires at any given time over there for some reason. That's again for anybody over there, please stay safe. I know like a lot of people have had to evacuate, but regardless, it is the 2nd of November, 2019, 10 p.m. over at the east coast of the United States, and it's episode 130 of 4Play Animecast. Everybody's sort of into their episode fives, episodes. I don't think any episode sixes have come out yet, right? It's mostly episode fives.
I think some episode 6s are out, but
A few, yeah.
nothing
So
for,
a
like,
few
really
early
big
episode
series.
sixes, mainly episode fives. You know, halfway into the season, we're going full blast here. We're going to be getting into some of the more exciting series going through this episode. But before we do that, let's introduce my usual compatriots over here. I don't know why I did a hand gesture because none of you can see me, but I did.
I saw it.
Thanks, Toast. Toast.
Hello.
In these past 2 weeks.
How does Canada have a forest fire, but I have freaking a snowstorm on the day and the day before and the day of Halloween?
That's a big mystery. What have you been doing these past 2 weeks here?
I've been playing Azure Lane and having an outcry because of that one loading screen that they removed, but not really because it was pretty bad anyway. Even though it was a what was it, staff pick?
Which one was removed? I don't.
The
The first one he linked with like all the succubus outfits.
Oh,
it's like that. You got that one.
The one
sure.
that looks very clearly not like official art.
And then it's like there's that one, and then there's the formidable one, which looks nice, and it's like, all right, that's also not safe for work, but it looks better, so no one's complaining about it. See, near. If you have an ugly, there is a difference between an ugly, not safe for work, and a nice looking, not safe for work. That
yeah. Typically, people like looking at nice art. Imagine.
Surprise.
No, I like looking at bad art. I disagree.
Anyways,
what anime I watched?
Yeah, what anime did you watch?
I watched Azure Lane.
Okay.
Episode 4 looked horrendous.
You excited about Crosswaves or whatever that game is?
No.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
It's a real game now.
It's coming to Steam, bro.
Unless it gives me like a Shimakaze or the other ship, or like code that I can use.
What if they announce
really.
that this is a live service and they're going to be adding every ship,
Yeah, it's called.
but as a gotcha this time?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can't
yeah.
actually.
It's actually,
This is the one that's the gotcha now.
But they'll get more money by releasing that as DLC, which I'm pretty sure that they will be.
DOA DLC or like it's like what is it, like Train Simulator, right? It's the one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
well,
$2 each.
There's like what 250 plus ships, and there's only going to be like 40 in the beginning. Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Also, I watched a movie.
Which movie?
You know, the one.
Yeah. Okay. That's real nice.
The one of 3 anime movies that exist in this entire world.
Broly was this year, right? Yeah, it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff was this year. So like
what One Piece Stampede, made by the Broly guy. Yeah. That's where I was going.
The one guy making the movie. Okay, that's pretty good.
Mr. Broly himself. Can't believe it.
Gotta shake his hand sometime. But anyways, thank you for letting us know, Toast. And again, you'll be covering a little bit of a series you've been kind of updating yourself on pretty soon.
What?
And
what do you mean updating myself on?
like
Watching?
you've
Watching?
yeah, watching. A
Pretty much
complicated
that's
way to
about
say
it.
watching, yes.
Okay.
But yeah, anyways, Dark. What have you been up to these past 2 weeks?
I've been playing a lot of Grand Blue.
Yeah,
a lot
I've
of it.
noticed.
A lot of Grand Blue. In fact, I just crafted my first Atma weapon, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, so I've been doing that. Been playing some Final Fantasy. Been getting not really back into, but just like grinding out some reputation in World of Warcraft. You know,
Okay.
they're gonna have real Asian people in that game now. Imagine that.
That's right.
Fucking crazy.
Like,
And
are,
just
are
been keeping up with stuff.
are they the flying Asian
Okay.
people or the grounded Asian people?
What does
What
that
do you
mean?
mean?
Y-
Fuck.
y-
What?
You ever seen
Okay.
do you ever seen those the ones where they fly all the time?
Oh, you mean like a weird fucking kung fu movie?
Yeah.
No, they're just humans. Humans and WoW are getting actual faces that resemble other races instead of just getting awkward skin tone.
Wasn't there like a panda race in WoW? I thought that's what you meant
Yes.
by like the Chinese. No,
No, no. They're getting like actual different races for humans.
there's
Which
only
is
one.
pretty
There's only
fucked up
one
when you think
race. It's
about it,
called
you
the human
know?
race.
Yeah, maybe I want to be an Asian orc, you know?
Asians are also part of the human race.
But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I haven't really started much new.
Mhm. But you usually start with a wider spread of things than most of us. Like we
Yeah, I
kind
think
of like
the only shows I haven't watched now is Beastars and like Rifle is Beautiful. Like
yeah.
that's it.
And then you kind of shrink. I used to do that, but then nowadays I kind of like start with the small thing and then widen. So I think there are sort of different sort of approaches to that. And, but yeah, and again you'll be telling us about a pretty interesting series, and I'll comment on that a little bit more later when we start. Near. What about you? What have you been up to, my low energy friend?
Lots.
Lots of things. Very busy.
Yeah.
Just tiresome.
I hit Grandmaster in
Yes.
Shadowverse.
Yes.
Again?
With Dragon too.
Congratulations.
Yeah, with Dragoncraft. Not the meta deck right now. Although it's funny. I think like 2 hours after I hit Grandmaster, the season ended, and
Yeah, a lot of people were trying to bum rush GM.
Yeah. The season ended, and the Shadowverse Twitter was like, "Hey, by the way, Haven is nerfed," and everyone was like, "Thank God." Although Haven's still really good, right? Because
yeah.
the way Shadowverse nerfs decks, they only nerf like one card at a time.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I think the
two.
max that they have like nerfed a class. No, they've only like done like for one class or for one deck like one card.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've never done like multiple. They maybe done two for
The
a deck.
one time,
for
yeah,
a
the
shadow or
one
something like
time they nerfed two cards, I believe, was when
Shadow,
they
right?
introduced. No, it was for Bloodcraft. It was when they introduced. Early. This is the most recent time I can remember. They introduced
Okay.
what was it like? The new like reprint vampire thing where it was basically if you drew the card, at any point in the match, you had instant vengeance for the rest of the match,
that one.
regardless
Yeah, I remember that.
of
I
what your
remember
health was. They
that.
nerfed
I
that.
didn't play that expansion, but I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, they nerfed that into the ground, and then there was another gold Bloodcraft card that was also in the deck. It was a 2-cost follower. That was like if you're in Vengeance and you play this card, you can discount cards in your hand, and it was ridiculous. And they nerfed that to like 6 PP. So that's the
Yeah, to be
most
honest.
recent time I can remember. But yeah,
Okay.
Shadowverse is pretty fun now. I think as soon as they nerfed Haven, I think Dragon got a lot better because the game kind of just naturally slows down.
Slow down. Yeah, exactly. And that always.
Yeah.
That
but,
does tend to favor Dragon a lot.
Yeah. Other than that, watching anime. Been watching Beastars.
Yes.
Been watching Fate Grand Order.
Yes.
Which I'll be talking about.
Near.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite beast?
I don't know.
It should
Kinda
be
like the,
Jaguar, man.
Yeah, I kind of like the deer, to be honest. He's a cool guy. But Yeah.
Which
You're
Pretty
hopping
sure
on the
me.
bestiality train with me.
which deer? The Shinsengumi deer or the other deer?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, we
That's
do
it for
need
me.
to. We didn't cover Beastars yet, but we do need to do that.
We'll
Pretty
probably
sure.
do that next
Yeah,
episode.
yeah.
But yeah.
It's definitely something I think a lot of people are waiting for. So definitely need to cover that sooner or later. But you'll be talking us through about Fate Grand Order in due time, and yeah. As for me, I guess
Spire,
again,
what would you do?
I've been running around a little bit. Again, kind of a couple of real life stuff, but also kind of, I guess, being able to find time to watch some series here and there. I watched a little bit of Rifle is Beautiful and some other stuff, as well as some of the Isekai stuff. So, a little bit more Kimono Michi. Although I read the manga for that, so I'm kind of like whatever after that. And Ascendance of a Bookworm, which I'll be covering.
I heard
This episode.
I heard she's a nerd. Can you confirm?
Yes, I can confirm, but it doesn't show too much. I guess it kind of shows in the series, but yeah, it's kind of whatever.
Does she eat the books like I predicted?
She makes them. I don't know about eating them.
You make most people make things that they eat. It's called cooking.
Most people also make things that they don't necessarily eat, like literally anything else. That's not cooking.
Like what? Children?
Yes, I guess that's a good example.
Also books?
Oh, so
Books are edible.
No.
I guess anything's possible if you try hard enough, Toast. But anyways, I'll be covering that. Other than that, I haven't been getting into too much, but I've been kind of trying to dig into a little bit of backlog stuff, and some recent discussions have also made me go back into like reading textbooks and stuff these days. I don't know why.
Wow, Bookworm.
But
Looks like we have our own ascending here.
Ascending Bookworm. But yeah, it's been pretty interesting times. Hopefully, I'll be able to kind of juggle stuff a little bit better. But that's pretty much how it is. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's start off with Dark. What series do you want to cover this time?
All right, I covered a more interesting one called Mairimashita Iruma-kun.
Yoyuu-kun, yes. And can I say that so last episode I was pretty surprised at near sort of covering Oresuki, right?
Yeah.
Fucking Kenton. So this time I am a little bit surprised about you both picking up and watching more than 5 seconds of Iruma-kun. You know what I mean? Because it's like Iruma-kun is definitely, I think, unless you're free to correct me, I could be completely wrong. It seems a little bit more like Precure, a little bit more like a series that's something like Area no Kishi, something the soccer series, right? That's a little bit more aimed towards children.
Are you saying we can't watch children's shows, Fire?
I mean, you can, but what I'm saying it seems a little bit more towards children's stuff, right? Am I right about this?
Visually, yes. Some of the show itself a little bit, but it is more of just comedy slice of life stuff.
Okay.
It's not
I literally thought it was
particularly
like
super kid
to
show.
be honest, I thought it was literally just Rosario Vampire, if you know that series.
Mm.
But
Which one?
just for kids. What do you mean which one? Just there's only one Rosario
There's only
Vampire.
one Rosario
Season
Vampire.
1 or 2?
I mean, it's essentially the same thing, except
That show's not for kids. Have you seen the outfits in that?
yeah, that's why I said Rosario Vampire for kids. that's why I modified it, right? But anyways, with the disguise skin, and yeah, okay. But keep going, Dark. But this again, I thought it was for kids.
Yeah. So like it's got like it's obviously it's not really anything crazy humor-wise. Like it's not. It is
Yeah, it
kid
doesn't seem
friendly
like
in
it,
that
yeah.
sense. Like it's just
But does it seem
what
like it
is
was
its
made
rating?
for kids?
It's
Like regardless
rating.
of what it is.
No, not
Okay.
really. Like
Okay.
it's not made for kids in the sense of like Japanese like made for kids show,
Mhm.
right?
Okay,
Like it ain't that.
Mhm.
It's
Like
I would say it's made for kids in the same way that people say that like Gundam Build Fighters is made for
Oh,
kids.
okay.
It's like it's just a shonen series that
Okay, I
isn't
understand.
super like edgy or anything.
Exactly.
This one, this is really interesting. Actually, I should probably get into that later. So basically, the premise is that this kid is a pushover. And so like if anyone asks him like or says please, like he pretty much winds up getting roped into doing whatever they ask him to do. Uh, but one day while he's working like one of his many part-time jobs, he
Oh,
gets
classic.
sold.
Mhm.
He has his soul sold to a demon by his parents.
Mhm.
How
And
much?
then I don't know.
Mr.
They
Krabs
haven't said
sold.
that yet. I bet you. I
It's
bet.
essentially the Hayate no Gotoku setup, right?
Never,
Yeah, I think
never
it's set up.
forget that Mr. Krabs sold SpongeBob's soul for was it 12 cents?
Knowing this show, probably around there. But
Going.
yeah. So he has his soul sold to the devil,
Mhm.
but I forget what his name is though. They give him like a full name.
Beelzebub.
No, no. I think
That'd
it
be a
is
little bit on
Sullivan.
the
I think
nose.
it's Sullivan.
Like Monsters
yeah.
Inc. Sullivan.
Like
We'll get into. You know
King
what? The fact
Solomon?
that you brought up Monsters Inc., but we'll get into that. There is a point I need to make that does involve Monsters Inc.
Okay, keep going.
So yeah, so that's like the start of it, and then Sullivan is like this old demon dude with he's just like an old man with horns essentially and like longer fingers,
Okay.
like longer like pointy nails. Uh but at first he seems like kind of like a menacing guy. And then as soon as Iruma, in order to not like get eaten by demons, uh accepts like being sold, he takes him in as his grandson, he
No.
explains, and that's the reason why he even bought him, because he's apparently one of the only leaders in hell without like grandkids to brag
So it turns
about.
into like a daddy long leg scenario for some reason.
Yeah.
What
and
the
so
heck's Daddy Longlegs? Is like
it's
a
a
spider?
novel. It's
Is it like Anansi the
it is a
Spider-Man?
spider, but it's also a novel. But anyways, keep going.
But yeah, so he does that because he wants a grandkid to brag about to everyone else.
Mhm.
And then it turns into essentially him just doting on Iruma
No.
whenever he possibly can. So he
So it
gives him
is
like
full
a
daddy
huge,
long legs. Yeah.
yeah, he gives him a huge room, like gives him like all the food he wants. And then pretty much like Iruma's life kind of turns around from there, where
Mhm. No,
all
he
of
just says
that,
whatever.
yeah, all of that like starts becoming pretty great. But then he has to go to school. And the
Mm.
problem is that Sullivan is the only one that knows he's human. And demons very much like to eat human.
Oh, okay. I see how it is. Yeah, I see how the comedy is going. Yeah.
Yeah, so he winds up going into school, and as he enters school, they're at the opening ceremony, and he's like, "Oh man, I really hope no one notices me or that I'm human."
Right. Exactly.
But then he starts hearing someone calling his name, and he sees Sullivan standing there, and he's apparently the chairman of the school.
No.
So he has, instead of having the valedictorian go up and give a speech, he has Iruma go up and give a speech.
Please.
So, and he hands him a note and just says, "Read this, and you'll do fine." And so he reads it, and it's in like a demonic tongue.
Oh, I know
And
where this is going.
everyone starts freaking out
Like,
in
yeah,
the
exactly.
Like a
in
Nokia?
the audience.
Yeah, because he said it says he's a human or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
No. So
No.
what it is he goes through this whole thing, and I am kind of ruining a little bit of a gag from episode 1, but
Mhm.
it's episode 1, so
Yeah.
and so after he reads it, everyone's just like, someone yells at him like that was like insanely irresponsible. Like, are you crazy? What are you doing? How could you say that forbidden spell? And he was like, "Oh my god, what does it do?" And one of the other guys who was standing there, like one of the other student council reps, was like, "Well, if you messed up even a word in that, you would have blown up. But now for the rest of the day, you can't trip and fall. So that's pretty cool." And that and then that like gets brought back later on. But I won't really spoil how. So over time, he starts meeting like his classmates, like this guy's name. Is it Asmodeus? Yeah.
Asmodeus?
Yeah. Asmodeus, Alice, which is the pink-haired guy, who was the previous valedictorian, but Iruma winds up beating him in a fight, so he becomes
magic fight?
Yeah, more or less.
I like magic fights.
kind of
Tell me about
incidentally.
this magic fight.
So Asmodeus, uses fire magic, and Iruma uses his inability to trip and fall, and beats him in a fight somehow. Find it out by watching. But so he beats him in a fight, and instead of holding a grudge like Asmodeus, because he helps him after, he like essentially just becomes his servant in the school.
Okay.
So he follows him around and stuff, and that's kind of where it goes from there. I'm not going
So-
to get too much into what happens, but it kind of just becomes like Iruma indirectly like gets caught up in shenanigans and either befriends them or like accidentally just becomes extremely powerful.
So can I ask a little bit quick general question about the type of humor? So, and this is a little bit important for me about sort of the quality of the series, but is the humor mainly focused on the demons like doing some shit and then you're like, getting into it, and then the point of the humor sort of ends up focusing around people almost figuring out that Iruma is human, or is the humor just kind of generally focused around the shenanigans that Iruma and the demons kind of get up to, or in the Magic / Demon Academy?
The latter for sure.
Okay.
The latter for sure. Like, I've only seen up to episode 3 right now. I think 4 and 5 are out, but after episode 1 and 2, like 2 has a little bit more of the human thing, and then 3 doesn't have any of that. And then
Okay.
so I'm wondering if like it'll probably pop up every now and then, but it's not like
Right.
the only focus. A lot of the humor is like caught between slapstick and just
I think that's really good, honestly, because it's like
random
because-
happenings.
because the former would be like it would become pretty repetitive. Like there would be good ways to spin it, but it would be pretty repetitive.
Yeah. So that is kind of a pretty good thing about it. I would say. See, what else was I going to say about it? Audio visuals wise? It's pretty solid. Some of the visuals are like kind of at times, but I like the style of the show
Studio?
itself. It's a good question.
Bandai Namco.
Okay. There you go.
General production, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So some of the audio visuals are a little whack sometimes, but the actual style of it is pretty great. And especially with like when I say style, like as well as like the designs of the characters and the stuff in the show, it's very like whimsical demon stuff. Like
I mean,
whimsical.
It's like literally Aikatsu. It's the same studio and everything. So
Oh,
Okay.
that is. So
Aikatsu, interesting.
let me see. I'm googling it, dude.
So I can kind of understand why, I guess, the I guess why the series is like that in a sense. Because I mean,
Yeah.
Aikatsu is also slightly like that. Plenty of people like Aikatsu, and they don't have to be like kids or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But yeah, so it has like a lot of cool demon designs and monster designs that are like, I would say very cartoony in that sense. There is the reason why I said earlier about the whole Monsters Inc. thing is that especially when they show an expanded crowd of characters, like there are some major freaks in that crowd.
Is Belphegor in there?
I haven't seen anyone name that yet, but there is this like weird purple girl who's got like one eye, and it's like this one eye stalk thing, and it just like it looks real bizarre. And she looks like something about out of like Real Monsters or like Monsters Inc. So I think like
Okay.
stuff like that is pretty fun. There's like transitions with these weird like one-eyed bat creatures that are pretty cool, where they like fly in and cover the screen first and interlock.
Oh,
So that's pretty fun. But yeah, I would say that's also probably one of the highlights for me, is how much I'm enjoying seeing like some of the weirder designs, especially
yeah.
like the environments and
There's
stuff.
actually something to catch the eye at again, as Near said. It's by the people who did Aikatsu, so it's not just like a little bit of like fireworks and spark, particle effects for children kind of thing, right? It's
Yeah, it has a lot of pretty cool stuff with the rooms and everything as well.
Mhm.
Can't really see. It's not that great of an example, just with like the front cover, but like those thorns in the background and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff like that with like really misshapen walls. What? Anyway, misshapen like walls, and thorn things like running through them, just
Right, right,
twisting, things like
right.
that. Pretty
Okay.
menacing, but like pretty menacing in design, but with the colors and shading and stuff, it's
Mhm.
not really foreboding. It definitely comes off more as like whimsical than any. So yeah, there's I'd say that's definitely another highlight for me.
Okay. So I guess do you have any sort of I guess last words or any additional things that you would like to add? Kind of a
I
um
can't.
Yeah.
I just have to. To me, this literally just sounds like a more like standard anime style version of Hell's, the Madhouse movie. Like it's all I'm seeing, right? Like it's literally just Hell's. That's all I can see in this series.
I mean the premise itself isn't that like uncommon, right?
Yeah, but like I don't know, even like the style of humor, like the designs. I don't know. It all just it rings really similar to me.
Yeah, I mean I
But
don't
it's
think
more like the manga looks more in the style of what was that series with like the harem series with the vampire
Jitsu wa
with the
Watashi wa?
guy the is that it? It's like the green. I think she had green
Yeah,
hair.
it's
Yeah,
Jitsu wa
yeah,
Watashi
that
wa.
one.
That's actually
Yeah.
exactly what I was thinking. Actually, as Dark was talking about the art stuff.
Yeah, like to me, this looks like the premise of Hell's with Jitsua's art style. Like that's
Okay.
what I see.
Yeah. I can see that for sure.
It's weird. It's really weird.
I think again a lot of these the art style side obviously that the similarities are might be a little bit more coincidental, but in terms of the general story, I think a lot of these have a pretty common like kind of premise running. It's not like uncommon to have that sort of stuff. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. Do you have any last words, Dark? And also, it's like as not necessarily like a standard recommendation, but it's like if someone like like I did at the beginning was just like isn't this a show for kids? Like, could you give like a brief, a couple of sentences, kind of responding to that? I guess in a sense.
Yeah, we only watch
it's-
mature anime over here.
Yeah, adult anime.
It's only for kids in the sense of like the I would say you could say that in the sense of like some more well-known maybe like Western cartoons in a way.
Mhm.
I guess like anime kind of relates to that too. It was like I was saying earlier with Build Fighter and stuff. It's not necessarily for kids, but it's definitely uh not unable to be shown to them because of its content.
Mhm.
So
It's an all ages kind of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely more of an all ages kind of thing. I would compare it more to how you would consider like some more out there Western cartoons from
Like
whether it be the
Chowder?
past, yeah, like either Chowder, Flapjack, something like that, where it's like, well,
Okay.
it's a cartoon, kids can watch it, but it's not necessarily for kids, you know?
Right, exactly.
Haha,
It's not
for
like
kids,
some,
I get it.
yeah, it's not just gonna hit you with a fucking Sesame Street like rhyme halfway through the episode. So
Okay.
yeah, I would say use that in my defense.
Okay, so pretty good. Again, thank you, Dark, for.
Small piece of trivia. This is directed by the director of Milky Homes.
Why am I not surprised? Again, like a lot of these sort of things, like the people who do these kinds of things, kind of like it becomes evident, right? Like when you start
Yeah.
looking through them, like a lot of them who do stuff like help on like Doraemon or like Shin-chan or like again Milky Homes or stuff like that. It's like they all kind of come together, like Prepara, whatever.
Yep.
They all tend to kind of come together.
Near, who would win in a fight? Crayon Shin-chan or Super Milk-chan?
Probably Crayon Shin-chan.
But doesn't Super Milk-chan have a gun?
Yeah, but Crayon Shin-chan is like immortal.
Yeah,
He's traveled through time, so.
yeah. Anyways, with that said, again, thank you for helping to cover Mairimashita Iruma-kun. We move now on to Toast. Toast, what do you have for us this
I
time?
watched.
I'll say
So-
the title as well. You said it.
My
Okay.
bad, my bad.
Can I say? Let me just say it. Okay, so Toast is covering.
I watched One Piece Stampede. Let me tell you about that for like 2 minutes.
Good. Yeah, whatever. Go for it, Toast.
You know that Shintani guy who made waves when he was all like, "Hey, look at this Dragon Ball Super Broly in this animation style." Well, he's back again. One Piece. And it was pretty good. I watch it in English dub because I am a man of true culture. And
Okay.
Okay.
And it's definitely grand splendor. What's the word?
Grandeur.
Yeah, grand blue. Definitely, it's definitely raises the animation levels quite a bit. Story is hey, where it's right in the middle of between like the whole cake arc and before they go to Wano, and all your friends are here, and it's time for One Piece Pirate Festival where the prize is something from Gold Roger's treasure, which I guess is One Piece. And then everyone looked at it, and I was like, wait a minute, this is real, and it was real treasure. And then some guy from Roger's crew, because it's like that's like the only non-canon villain they could add at this point. Because what, was Shiki part of Roger's crew, or he clashed with Roger back in the day? So it's like, alright, we can only use those guys because we don't want to impede upon the actual story. Because, Oda knows everything. He can predict everything. So they're looking for Roger's treasure, then the guy's like, no, I want the treasure. And Luffy's like, no, I want it. And then everyone everyone that's basically appeared in One Piece and is relevant to the story right now appears. They're like, no, I want the treasure. And then they fight over it.
Okay.
So
I guess.
it's a grand, what's the word?
It's a battle royale.
It's a callback to all things One Piece, because you got this character and you got this character, but not Vivi because she's not a pirate. No one cares about her anymore. But they're all here in some way, fighting for Roger's treasure. But then they're all like,
Okay.
oh no, this guy's actually pretty strong. We gotta team up to beat him. And they're like, alright. And then they team up to beat the guy. And it's cool. It's a nice looking movie.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it.
Which is about the anime that you watched recently,
Yeah, I'll,
Toast?
I'll rate it in my top four or five this anime movie of this year, sure. Yeah.
How many anime movies have you seen?
There's Broly, there's the Nier, what did I watch?
Fate?
Yeah, there you go, thank you. The Fate, watched uh what what's the one with Hestia? Danmachi. Okay.
Damachi?
I'm going to watch Konosuba movie, so I guess that's 5. Yeah, I didn't lie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's alright. It's definitely like probably the best One Piece movie, barring maybe One Piece Film Z with that one mafia scene, I guess, where Luffy has a gun, and I'm like, what? Yeah, well, he's got a gun. Everyone had a gun in that scene. That was cool. Yeah. What? Yeah.
What show did you
Oh.
watch?
Enough about that. I watched. Shit, what's it called?
You want me to read it?
Yeah. Yes, please.
It says, Choujin Koukousei-tachi wa isekai demo Yoyuu de Ikinuku you desu. Or also known as, in English, high school prodigies have it easy even in another world. The Japanese abbreviation is called Choyoyu. But yeah, anyways.
It's just
so
Choyu?
isekais. Choyoyu. You know, like
What?
Cho as in like
Like
super and Yoyu.
Like
as in
Mao
like easy.
Yu, but with Cho and what?
No. Cho as in like, you know, Cho as in like super, like prefix,
Like
right?
Kinnikuman Chojin?
Yeah, and then Yoyu, as in like, you know, they have like leeway in Japanese. So Choyoyu is the abbreviation. But enough about the abbreviation. You can just call it whatever.
I'm messing up.
High school
everywhere today.
prodigies. You can do whatever. You can say whatever. But anyway, it is an isekai series. I believe it is done by who is it? Who is it? Project number 9.
It's the guy who made. All I know is the guy who wrote Rakurai Kishi. That guy's pretty cool.
Can we? Can I just say, why do you keep referring to students as guys? You realize it's more than one person doing this, right?
The only reason, the only thing that you can refer to as a she is a warship spire.
I mean, I know that's not
What?
the point I was making.
Yeah, he's got you there, dude.
Or the Statue of Liberty, that's a woman. Or the Mona Lisa.
We're just doing pronoun, noun genders now, or object genders. But yeah, project number 9 also did. What is this? Imoto no Yosuka choto okashinda, or like recently my sister has been unusual. Netoke, Yuno Shikoto, a lot of these sorts of like more like weird ecchi series. But Toast.
Huh? Oh. Let me tell you about these Choujins. Choujin Koukousei. Let me just tell you that 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of 5 of them are interesting, and the other 3 suck.
Wait. You said 4 out of the 5 are interesting, and then the other 3 suck.
4 or
That's
5.
7 total people out of 5.
4
What?
or 5 of them are interesting, and then
4
the
or
rest
5.
suck.
Okay. I thought you said 4
So
out of 5. I was like,
let's start
Oh.
from the beginning. You got, what are their names? Let me pull up the master list. Mikogami Tsukasa, the weirdo with heterochromia. He's,
Okay.
even though he is in high school, he's the strongest politician. He's like what?
Wow.
The Prime Minister of Japan? Good for you, loser.
He's the. You mean? I guess he's like the back guy, or
He's the
the
leader.
person behind the. Yeah.
And then you got next to him an actual interesting person, Sanada Masato, the Demon Lord merchant businessman guy. And he's only in high school, but he owns 30% of the world's money. Good for him. Then you got Akatsuki. Even though he's a high school student, he's the world's best illusionist magician guy. And he can earn 10 billion yen in one night, so he's on par with what? David Blaine or Chris Angel?
It's a little bit more than they make. Chris Angel and David Blaine don't make $100 million in a single fucking night.
Yeah, that's
I can just throw that out there real quick.
I don't
that's
know.
like some like NFL numbers shit or something.
I don't know.
like
we haven't seen the
They're
numbers.
magic. They can just make money.
Yeah. Then you
It's like
got
actually more money than like fucking Floyd Mayweather made.
Yeah.
but what about Manny Pacquiao?
That's definitely more money than Manny Pacquiao. fucking
Mayweather
made.
always makes like the
Mayweather,
most,
like I don't
There's
even
a reason
remember
why
if
he's
he
called the
did he
Funny
make
Mayweather.
100 million with the
With that one fight, yeah, I think so.
yeah,
McGregor
he
fight? Was
usually
that
gets,
100
like,
million or was that like 200?
He might have, I don't know, but it was pretty serious either way. But anyways, keep going, Toast.
Then you got what would have been an interesting character, but unfortunately she's not. Ichijo Aoi, and even though she's a high school student, she's the strongest samurai. You see her going up against armed military with guns, and then she cuts the bullets and kills them, and I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. Not really. Saber could do it better. And then you got the one with the funny hat. Hoshi Ringo.
Is that the detective?
No. Even though she's a high school student, she's a genius that has an intellect several centuries ahead of her time. So she's.
What does that even mean?
That's what me and Dark were trying to figure out earlier.
Exactly.
Just so she can she's figured out a wheel that
Does she-
300 years ahead.
Does she know like space tech or what?
Well, in the anime,
It's like it's like she's already unlocked the civilization like technology tree, but
Yeah,
it's just
no, she already knows like the next energy source, but she's like, nah.
like fuck, I don't have enough.
well,
fucking
in the
resources.
anime, they showed her in a space station and she was building stuff, and I'm like, how's that several centuries ahead of her time? We
Several centuries ahead of the
Herman
It's like-
space station.
I mean, like
Yeah,
even
but like Japan has never been to space, so
even Kaiba built a space station, and he built it all the way to he built an orbital elevator just to duel the Pharaoh in the afterlife. And I'm like, I haven't seen you do something on that caliber yet, Ringo. All you did is what you made a rail cannon. Oh wow, we have those too.
The thing is, it's
And-
like
An electric mixer. Wow, several centuries ahead.
these are one of those times where it's like I really kind of like look, you know how there are isekais where the otaku like the author being an otaku of something or being an enthusiast of something really shines through, and you get all this like trivia and research and information, and that's sort of a nice aspect at times. Like this sort of thing is sort of where I really kind of you can kind of see the the fanfiction.net/shows that's coming through, where you're just like, yeah, this girl's really smart. She can make guns, and you're like,
whoa.
okay. So you can see sort of the author's limitations coming through, so to say. You know what I mean?
I mean, if you're several centuries ahead, you should be building what transorbital, transplanetential light speed engines and whatnot. But no, I don't see that. Wow, you built a plane. Oh, I'll get into that later. Anyway, she's interesting, but I don't think she's several centuries ahead like she claims.
Okay.
Anyway, then you got Kanzaki Kane. Even though she's a high school student, she's the world's greatest surgeon / doctor. And her
I can already hear the Team Medical Dragon music coming.
and the concept of life and death is nothing to her or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
What the fuck does that mean?
It's the worst doctor anyone could ever have.
As I said, I can already hear the Team Medical Dragon.
And then you got your last character, Sarutobi Shinobu. Even though she's a high school student, she's the world's best ninja /
Wait, is
journalist.
she,
the world's best ninja.
Is she actually named Saratobi?
Yeah, she's an actual ninja.
You're just
Like,
like,
are you? Come on, man. Like,
as I
really?
said, this is a Shusetsu effect, right? It's like, it's
you.
like how it's like, oh yeah, it's like that Sojourner Truth thing, right? It's like with the Overwatch thing.
Like, come on, man.
Sojourner Truth.
You can't just like be like, yeah, here's this ninja. Her name is Sarutobi Shinobu. Like,
It's
piss
an
off, dude.
authentic Japanese name. What's wrong with you?
You know that I it's like I'm just descent. I'm just Japan's most famous samurai right now. My name is
I'm
Date
Naruto's
Masamune.
biggest fan.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
You can just call me Minato Sasuke. I'm the descendant of Naruto and the Uchiha clan.
Yeah. Anyways, go
Anyway,
ahead.
yeah. So you got these 7. In the beginning, they're all like, Ringo's in her space station building stuff, and she's all like, "Oh no, this AI I built tells me we got to meet up for our school trip or whatever." So all 7 of them are doing their own thing in the world, but then they meet up and fly on Shinobu's airplane because she's several centuries ahead of everyone else. But even though her tech is several centuries ahead of everyone else, somehow they get into a plane crash and get transported to an isekai.
Can I ask something? Is this like so I'm just gonna start talking in the abstract here, general isekai formatting. So is this a general sort of arc focus thing, sort of a little bit more like how I want to say something like a smartphone or like other sort of
they do
isekai stuff, or is it a little bit more balance oriented, like how
No.
fucking what am I talking? What do I want? Oh, it's like the Mage's Grandson or something like that, where it's like it tries to flip back and forth between having sort of relaxed episodes and then like this arc and then back into relaxed.
No, they get into stuff pretty quick because
Okay, or I'm asking is, do you think it's going to be continual sort of arcs in that sense? Just like it's going to be like arc, sort of with no real rest.
it picks up pretty quick because after they crash land and they get saved by an elf and whatever, they're all like, "Oh, hey, you saved us. Let us help you out." So they build a nuclear power plant, and then the merchant guy's all like, "I'm gonna make money." Then he makes money. And then the feudal lord's like, "Hey, you can't do that," and he's all like, "No, shut up." And then they start making money. They're using their superior Japanese technology to help these poor farm village beastmen people's lives improves. But then the feudal lord comes and they're all like, "I don't like beastmen. I'm racist." So he attempts to kill all the villagers and captures the elf. And then the politician dude's like, "All right, enough of this. I'm a politician, so I'm gonna make you an ultimatum. We can go to war with the feudal lord, or not. It's your choice." So and then they're all like, "If we do, we're going to expand this. We're going to expand this country's civilization by 500 years in our quest for the revolution."
5 years. It's gonna be alpha to
And he's all like, "You want to do this?" And they're like, "Yeah, okay." And then they wage war against the feudal lord, and they're making their own country and religion so far. Like, I'm up to episode 5, and they just started their religion. It's called like the Seven Lights or something. Because
what's the general? What's a general? Is there a general? Is it just like
like the general plot?
Yeah. Is there sort of like a king that they'll later probably like encounter, and that's sort of the main sort of focus, or is it like, oh, these nobles are annoying, that sort of like nations, church is annoying, blah blah. It's like that.
Well, the main plot is that there in this country, in this world, there was a religion called like the Seven Heroes religion or something, where it was a tale of 7 heroes came from another world to save this world or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They think that these 7 are the next 7 to save this world.
Okay.
Because the elf that they saved is like some sort of speaker magician speaking through the goddess, and the goddess is all like, "Hey, 7 heroes that I summoned, save this world," and he's all like, "Damn it, all right." And I guess they're doing that while they're trying to find their own way back home. So it's pretty standard isekai thing.
Okay.
Need to find our way back home while saving the world.
Okay.
Now let me tell you about why only 5. Why like a little more than half of these characters are interesting, and some aren't. You could make an entire isekai series on like the interesting characters alone, like the merchant guy.
Okay.
My favorite episodes were episodes 2 and 3, where it was purely focused on him, and he's like, "Hey, let me show you how to make money, raceteer style," and he's all like, "Stocks and bonds and trust funds and whatnot," and I'm like, "Hey, that's pretty interesting. Tell me
Okay.
more."
Yeah, when it gets into the trivia.
And then it's like it's only 2 episodes of that, and I'm like, okay. And then you have Rinko like, "I'm gonna build a nuclear power plant, and hey, look, I found bauxite. Bauxite is used for aluminum." And I'm like, "That's cool. You're like the weapon maker person. You made these aluminum shovels and an electric mixer and a nuclear power plant that you stripped from the plane to power all this stuff. That's neat. You could build this isekai from that." And you got the surgeon lady. That's also a really good isekai premise. Spoiler, there's a bunch of those, and they're pretty interesting by themselves. I'm waiting for one of them to get an anime adaptation. You know the one. You got ninja, sure, ninja, espionage, journalism. That's neat too. And then you got then you got the losers, samurai. Wow, basically every isekai protagonist before you. You're just strong. So what? You're not interesting. Politician. Wow, you suck.
So what I'm wondering is like,
What
I mean, you say these you say they do have these arcs, but is it mainly focused on kind of like, is it like, oh, there are like enemies, but it's like a lot of the thing is like after the enemies are set up, the rest of the story is more just like the geniuses are just gonna make stuff, and it's like, the major sort of descriptions and the story in the series is about how the geniuses make stuff to do, to defeat these people. So it's
Yeah,
like
because
it says, and it's like a quote unquote relaxing isekai, but there are enemies. But it's still relaxing because these people are superhuman beings.
yeah, they
essentially.
don't really have much opposition.
Yeah.
Because when the like this evil feudal lord guy captured the elf girl in their village, they're all like, "All right, we're going to war." And then they storm the castle with their fancy iron shields that are somehow. The dude's all like, "Oh, we can't pierce their shields. Their iron shields, they're so big and heavy." And the dude's all like, "Huh? Look how big their shields are. If they're made of iron, how could they carry them around like that?" And the dude's all like, "Guess what, nerds? This is the revolutionary metal that advanced our civilization by 500 years. Can you guess what it is, Spire?"
Didn't you say it was like Dear Lumen or whatever?
Yeah, duralumin. You know, you use that to build planes and not spaceships, trains and stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, that's so yeah, aircraft grade aluminum, aka duralumin. Oh, it can resist all our swords and our arrow and our crossbows." And I'm like, "Okay."
Toast is not impressed at
I'm
all.
not really, because
Wait. In arrows?
like crossbows. The dudes are using crossbows and they can't pierce their duralumin shields.
Oh.
And I'm like, who cares about duralumin? The chick
Okay.
basically made a rail gun and pierce through the castle walls. Why aren't you interested in that? And I'm like, eh. And then there was this one, and then that's all whatever. Yeah.
So in terms, I mean, like obviously there have been other series that are just like the kids come in and the kids are ranging from above average intelligence to knows otaku stuff to whatever, like all this other crap, right? But how would you say, I guess, in like a general sort of like conclusive way, this sort of rates among them, like compared to like I don't know, Knights of Magic, for instance, in your personal sort of
It's too safe, as in
what do you mean by that?
they cover too many bases. They're basically the perfect team. You
mean the power fantasy is too strong?
Yeah,
It's
you got a group of 7 that are perfect in every way. They can cover each other's bases.
Do you think
Unlike in a normal isekai where it's one guy, it's usually like one guy who has one good skill, and it's all like
do you a relevant question, and I'm sure it'll become more relevant later on down the road as more isekai, more shousetsu, fan fiction, whatever stuff comes out in both both the web novel form and the anime form. But do you think the character having a flaw in an isekai is, or having a significant flaw, right? Something that can be frequently abused. Let's say it doesn't need to be necessarily always obvious, but it should, be a significant flaw, right? An example may be not an isekai, but it would be like Accelerator and his, battery power, right? Is the
I don't know.
more famous
Ask
examples. Well, I'm just putting an example, right, of a limitation.
There has okay, like with
But do you think every isekai protagonist needs that sort of flaw for any given story?
for them to be interesting? Yes, because
Okay.
they can have their cheat skill. That's fine, but they also need to be like, huh, I didn't expect this to happen, or I'm not well
Right, and
versed
then
in
they need
this.
to spend time solving it in a different
Yeah.
way. Is what you're saying. That's not just
They need to have some sort of weakness to ground them,
right.
even
Yeah.
if this is a power fantasy or whatever, to make them more likable
Okay.
and
Interesting. Yeah.
relatable. So they're like, all right, I get this. Which is why all the good ones have grounded characters. Like even whether it be a personality trait or something or whatever like that. But with these 7, they cover each other's bases like so perfectly. It's an impenetrable force field. That means none of them will ever be actually interesting in the long run unless they're separated from the group for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Which is why
Because I was the reason why I brought that sort of question up is because there are going to be more and more series, and I'll be covering one of them that is very similar, where it's like it's not necessarily just arc, enemy, and then maybe relaxation in between. It's potentially going to be a very different sort of format / meta of people kind of living their lives, relaxing every day, kind of being like building their farms, but it's like a superhuman farm, right? Because they're Japanese and they bring in their Japanese technology or whatever the hell, right? Happening more and more, I feel. And in those things, I guess there are still problems, right? You need to solve, so you will still be right in a sense, or you will still be right. But I think the question that I asked comes into question a little bit more, where it's like, if you're writing the story about people that are just like, yeah, I'm relaxing, I'm just doing whatever the hell I want, then it's like, is the question of how powerful the power is that really relevant? You know what I mean? You see where I'm going with that?
yes.
Like there's a difference between making like debating powers, and that in an isekai, and the powers are used to defeat some sort of demon king, right? And a power that's like, yeah, I got this power, and the story is all about making a farm. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference in debating whether it means anything to have a big power to build a farm, right? Or something like that. So that's sort of where the question came. But yeah. Do you have any additional things you want to say about?
I mean, it's
Really?
fine. if there's world building, because they're gonna build their empire. If you want to see how 7 people can topple the world by themselves, okay, you can do that.
Right.
These this would have been better if, like I said, they were all separated by their own isekai by themselves, make them more interesting characters. Because the merchant guy, he's a regular dude, but he can make money. That's interesting itself. What's an isekai where it's all about making money and traveling the world, Spire?
Spice it.
Yeah. And then ninja assassin person in an isekai, sure. I like there's for being a group of 7, they're stronger by themselves than they are in a group. That's their big flaw, character-wise, and in being more interesting.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate.
Why is the politician the main character? He's boring.
Yeah, it's again, it's I think again, not a lot of authors do have these sorts of limitations, and with some of these series, you can kind of see it coming out of pretty plain sight. But yeah. Anyways,
Why is this? I mean, if I have to rate it, it's definitely better than Isekai Cheat Magician.
oh yeah, I mean,
'Cause that's consider that like the
I
bottom
think
of the
I think
barrel.
at this point we're kind of that's
It's
a little bit far.
definitely not better than the average. Well, maybe if I had to rate it on a scale of 10, a 6 or a 7, I guess. But it's definitely not Knights, and it's definitely not better than Slime Tensei or Knights in Magic. It's definitely way not better than How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. That's good. How could the guy who made Rakudai Kishi write this not good stuff?
Yeah, how could that happen?
Really makes me wonder.
Anyways,
Give me more stories about the surgeon chick. I like medical stories. Like I played Trauma Center,
anyways, thank you, Toast.
and
for-
like let me tell you, like the
Yes?
magician guy who's not actually a magician. It's like in a world of magic, you're gonna be like, oh look at me, I can. What's that one trick? I can make my thumb disappear. Oh, good for you.
I,
Not make your thumb disappear.
yeah,
by
it's
the way.
definitely
Pull
surprising
off,
how.
tip your thumb.
Yeah, I mean, again, in all, it's definitely surprising
This
how.
fake David Blaine guy's supposed to be the new god of their religion because he can fly around and stuff. But
Wait, he can fly around?
he's floating. He's like floating in the air through illusions or whatnot. I don't know. I
How
don't really
high?
care. Like way above other people's heads.
Oh, that's
Like he's
lame.
like above buildings, and I'm like, I don't care how you do that. You're not as good as David Blaine.
Well, not only
or
that,
Chris
you
Angel.
don't do that. That's not a thing. So it's not even grounded. That's actually
I don't
kind of
know.
really shitty.
He's an illusionist. A great magician never tells his secrets, and I'm like, why don't you worship?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you're floating like fucking 50 feet in the air, like, there's really no
There's-
trick there.
There's
You're
no
just a
more
fucking-
illusion. You're an
like-
actual fucking magic man.
And he can like remove his head and whatnot, and like kick it at people, and I'm like, that's
Yeah,
neat, I
no,
guess.
that's not an illusion.
And I'm like, why don't you worship the chick who can make a railgun and a nuclear power plant from nothing, and a space station? She's like on Kaiba level, even though she's not really hundreds of years above her time. Maybe like 100 at most, maybe 200.
Definitely not 200.
Kaiba did that by himself. It's called the Crystal Cloud Dual Link System.
Anyways, Toast, thank you for helping cover Choyuu, or again, name is, I believe, Choujin Koukousei-tachi wa Isekai de mo Yoyuu de Ikinuku desu. Also known as high school prodigies have it easy even in another world. Definitely a surprise that the Rakudai Kishi, the cavalry author, couldn't write something good. But let's move on.
After
move on.
Rakudai Kishi, everything else just fell down.
Yeah, it was all downhill.
Yeah,
from there,
everything
sure.
else.
But anyways, Nier, would you like to cover certain Fate Grand Order series?
Yeah.
You-
Yeah.
Speaking of civilization,
Get that
Yeah.
Brave New World expansion pack or what?
Yeah. I
Te-
watched FGO. Zettai Maju Sensen Babylonia.
tell us about the world's greatest civilization
Absolute
here,
demonic front, right? Absolute
Japan.
demonic.
Oh,
Absolute demonic front, Babylonia. So this anime is certainly interesting. Because as I said on the previews, this is a obviously Fate Grand Order adaptation of the seventh Singularity.
what's the first?
The first is Shinjuku, Singularity F.
Which one's Camelot? Is that
This
before or
is
after
sixth.
this? Okay.
So Camelot is before Babylonia, yeah. Well, by the way, Camelot is also getting an adaptation, I believe, movie, by Ufotable, I think, right?
No,
No,
no.
who's doing it?
Is it Aniplex? No, no, I don't know.
All Fate is done by Aniplex. Aniplex like owns the license rights.
It's a Projected IG.
Okay. But yeah, so there's a lot of setup just going into this anime, right?
Sum it up.
And I mean, okay. Uh,
Just tell us the relevant characters.
Just tell us about Ishtar. That's what all anybody really wants to know, right?
yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, the basic
Tell
plot
me about
of
it.
FGO is, in 2016, the human race, human history, basically gets incinerated. It gets wiped out.
Mhm.
And in order to stop that, an organization called Chaldea basically has to go back in time and fix these things called singularities, which are points in history where human history is off course and they have to correct it basically by going in and collecting holy grails, which the King of Mages, Solomon, has left in order to mess up history and wipe out the human race. Why he's doing this is unknown to the main characters, and the whole thing is like figuring out A, why he's doing it, and B, stopping him.
Right.
And Babylonia is the seventh singularity out of seven, basically. So there's like a lot of just stuff that has happened that just kind of isn't really mentioned in the anime. There is an episode 0 for Babylonia, but it doesn't really talk about it doesn't really go over the other singularities except for there's like a 2-minute scene at the very end where it just blasts through these monologues from a couple of
Okay.
servants from the other singularities. Episode 0 is largely about the backstory of Mash, and the backstory of Romani Archman, which was never really gone into in FGO proper. So
Okay.
it was pretty nice to see. But for Babylonia itself, it's the main character, Fujimaru Ritsuka, which is the master, main character of the game, and Mash, his servant, which is a demi-servant of Mash, who's like this weird homunculus baby, and
What the fuck?
Galahad, I believe, is her servant. So she's a shielder, and she has this big fucking shield, and she swings it around and hits people with it.
Did you know Shielder was supposed to be one of the original 7 classes, but they're all like, that's lame.
Yeah, shielder was supposed to be in like the main servant. They'd say it, right? But then they were like, this character sucks, and they scrapped her.
What did they replace her
And
with? Berserker?
I think
Probably.
so, yeah. But so they have to go back to Babylonia, which is the kingdom of Gilgamesh back in the Age of the Gods in Fate lore, which
Mhm.
is pretty big deal.
That's when magic is at its most powerful.
Yeah, that's when people and like literal gods just exist amongst each other, right? And for Fate, like that's a big deal. It's pretty hard to time travel back then, because there's a lot of just complications of how much mana is in the air
Right,
just
right, right.
due to like gods existing. Um,
It's like dinosaurs and the oxygen levels.
sure, yeah,
You know,
but
dinosaurs could only survive because we had high oxygen levels.
mm,
Now they can't. That's why we have tiny humans and tiny
I'm not
insects.
entirely sure if that's how that works, but okay. Go
yeah.
ahead.
So they travel back, and the basic premise of Babylonia as a chapter is the main characters discover that the large source of the problem in Babylonia is caused by these three goddesses called the Three Goddess Alliance.
Mhm.
And one is to the north, which is creating this huge army of these demonic beasts and is attacking Uruk, which is like basically the last big city, uh, like for humanity in the area. Like pretty much all the humans are in this fortified city, which is
Wow, it's like Attack on Titan.
wow. It's like an absolute demonic front or something.
Ah!
And I think to the south is I think it's to the west is the jungle,
Mhm.
which is um kind of just like a neutral zone really. They go there and some stuff happens, but it's mostly
Like the Amazon rainforest type of jungle or something.
like the uh yeah, pretty much. I mean it's like Aztec stuff, right? So because
Oh,
so I
I
mean
can see where these goddesses are now. I get it.
yeah, so it's minor spoilers, I guess. I mean, honestly, the Singularity's 4 years old. I don't think I really need to sugarcoat it that much. I mean, the fucking Three Goddess Alliance is literally in the OP. So the goddess making all the monsters is Gorgon, which is
Mhm.
Medusa, right? It's like a twisted version of Medusa. The goddess in the forest is Quetzalcoatl, which is an Aztec goddess. Or
Mhm.
an Aztec god rather, but it's a goddess in Fate because haha, Fate. Um, and the third goddess, which is revealed way later,
Mhm.
is Ereshkigal, who's the goddess of the underworld in Mesopotamian myth. Uh, she's kind of not really evil. I mean, honestly, two out of three of the goddesses aren't really evil at all. So the main antagonist for majority of Babylonia is Gorgon, which is the one making all the demonic beasts and is attacking Uruk. So a lot of the Babylonia chapter is the main characters going around pretty much all over Babylonia and
Kind of defeating the different
basically
monsters.
basically allying with the other goddesses, doing
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
going through all these trials and tribulations, allying with the goddesses, and then the main goal is to take down Gorgon.
Okay.
And the thing is, Babylonia is fucking long. It's probably the longest singularity in the entire game. And it's kind of because it's in like two parts. So there's the one half where Gorgon is the villain, and there's the other half where somebody else is the villain. I'm pretty sure.
Where does Gilgamesh fit into all this? Because this is his kingdom.
Yeah, Gilgamesh is a good guy in this story. Which is pretty rare for Fate. Um, the only times Gilgamesh doesn't job super hard is when he's a good guy. Um, so I think honestly, Babylonia's Gilgamesh is probably the most likable version of him, like just in Fate.
What about Kid Gilgamesh or
I don't
Carnival?
like Gilgamesh.
Child Gil.
What about
I don't like
Carnival
Kid Gil.
Phantasm Gilgamesh? That guy's
Uh,
pretty funny.
Uh-huh.
It's because the Fate Gilgamesh, he's all arrogant. He's all like, I am a king, but he never does
Yeah.
anything kingly.
Yeah.
But in Babylonia, he's actual king, and he's all like, shut up, I'm doing king stuff.
Yeah, he's a proper ruler. So in terms of being an adaptation, I think this anime is actually really good. So the typical, I guess the standard at this point for Fate adaptations is obviously UFO table adaptations, right? Where
Assuming that they don't steal money from charities.
yeah, but but like the standard would be obviously not only adapting rather the story. You're kind of adding extra bits here and there that weren't in the original source material, right?
Going beyond
You're,
the
yeah,
original, yeah.
expanding on small scenes. Adding more to certain characters. And obviously truncating some stuff that doesn't really need to be there. Which this anime does, I think, pretty well at that. Although, I think the pacing in the first few episodes is a little slow, considering how long the Babylonia chapter really is. But I think this anime does a really good job of expanding on the character for obviously, the main character, right? Who in the mobile game he's not a character, right? Like he's you. He's supposed to be you. He's your self-insert. The only dialogue the main character gets is a couple text choices every once in a while in the cutscenes, which they're meaningless. You don't really both choices lead to the same thing every time. But they expand on the main character, like what he feels and what he's going through with all the stuff he's gone through in all the other singularities. They expand upon that. They expand upon. I feel like they, I guess, refine a bit of what MASH is going through, because a lot of the initial, like the first, I say, 3 or 4 singularities is a lot of just MASH, like not knowing what she's like fighting for, right? She's a person that was like born just to be experimented on, and then the only real reason she fights is because she wants to protect the main character.
Right.
As she's going through all these singularities, she's realizing like there's a lot more to being human than just like fighting to protect somebody. But all these servants and all these singularities are like, Nash, you have a wish, and eventually you'll realize what it is, and when you realize what it is, you'll be human and this and that. And it's not really it's not delivered all that well.
It's like some Chobits kind of stuff, like Chobits likes kind of stuff.
Largely because the first few singularities in Fate Grand Order are not written very well. But I think they do a lot better job at just refining Mash's character, and they do a lot more with Dr. Romani, who's in Fate Grand Order he was basically a character that was he was a joke character, right? Everyone was like, wow, Dr. Romani, you're such a stupid idiot. Pretty much whenever he opened his mouth, he would be like, he'd chime in, give you some useful like lore on like the new servant that you would just meet, like, oh, that's Merlin. He's not supposed to be able to be a servant, yada yada yada, right?
Okay.
And
You would go into like almost like just like background noise, almost.
Yeah, he would go into who a servant's supposed to be. Like he's the guy on the computer. He's giving you all your analytics. But typically he was basically just as soon as he would open his mouth, either you, Mash, or the servant you're talking about would be like, wow, who's this loser? And it was kind of just, I feel like the character never really deserved to be like that, especially because immediately after Babylonia, Dr. Romani is extremely important. So I feel like this anime does a lot just better.
Kind of explaining,
Um,
filling in
Just
the
a lot more, a lot more respect to the character, considering
Right.
like how important he is. And for Gilgamesh, right? There's a lot more scenes of him being a king, right? There's a scene that was not, I'm pretty sure was not in the Singularity, where he's just walking through the streets and he's talking to the citizens and he's playing with children, right? Like
Right, exactly.
it shows that he's a good king and he's beloved by his people, and like there's just a lot of scenes that are expanded upon that just add more to the characters that I think the mobile game just didn't do. So in terms of it being an adaptation, I think it's really strong in that sense.
Okay.
But I did say earlier, I think the pacing is pretty slow. We're on episode 5, I believe, and the only thing we've gone up to is the first fight between Gilgamesh and the fake Enkidu, which is like, I don't know, not very many chapters into the Singularity. I'm pretty sure the Babylonia Singularity was like 70 chapters or something, which is really fucking long.
The fuck.
And yeah, like this is a really long just Singularity. So I don't know if they're gonna start truncating stuff really hard, or maybe they'll
It's just more episodes.
just speed things along. I mean, it's a 21 episode series. It's got time, right?
You think it's gonna do a 3-core?
I mean, it might do like a second season, depending on how well they pace it. I think it could do like a 12 episode second season kind of thing. I don't know if they're gonna go like a full like 40 episodes, but it's possible. Like the Singularity is like that long. So I'm not sure how well they're gonna do in terms of pacing. In terms of visuals, I think it's solid. There's quite a bit of CG, maybe a bit more than I'd like. There's a lot of scenes, in especially the first couple episodes, where Mash is just like moving, right? Just general movement, and it's weirdly like CG blended. I don't know if it's because they just didn't want to draw her armor or what, but yeah, there's a little bit more CG than I'd like, but the movement is nice. The action scenes flow very smoothly. There's no point where you're like lost in like where people are or what movement is going on. It's all very cohesive. It's very easy to digest visually, and it's solid. It is done by Studio Cloverworks. Although
the spin-off from A1 Pictures, of course.
yeah, it is in a slightly different art style, I think, than a lot of Fate fans are used to. The faces are a bit rounder, I guess.
They're not. They're trying to emulate the Takeuchi style, but not as well as UFO Table has done.
Takeuchi obviously is known for a very, I guess, specific style, especially with the way he draws, the face, the shape of the nose, stuff like that. And they're trying to emulate that, but it's not. It's just like it's a different face shape than what Ufotable does, which can be a little jarring for some people if they're used to Ufotable style. I think the eyes are a little bit smaller, a little bit maybe wider apart. I think the face is just generally bigger. But overall, I think it looks good. I think it's solid.
Okay.
I think it's a solid anime. The only problems I really see is like what I said earlier, where there's a lot of setup to this anime. It being, the 7th singularity, like the final singularity out of, the first initial like storyline of FGO, and it doesn't really get too into the backstory. Like it kind of just drops you right into it. Like I think only in episode 3 does it even show like the king of mages, Solomon, like even being the antagonist, right?
So can I ask something? So obviously you have this sort of I would almost want to say enhancement to the story, almost like a mini sort of like movie outside of the main story slash game, right? Although it is
Right.
the main story, but it's not like it's an enhancement, right? In a sense, like it's an addition to people that are sort of already into FGO, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you think is in store, anime or movie wise, for FGO after this? Do you think they're going to kind of try to do more of these sorts of things, or do you think it's going to be kind of just back into the movie realm, or what?
I think
Wouldn't it be easier to make movies?
it would probably be easier. I think the reason they went with an anime series this time is because, like I said, this is the longest singularity, right? It's really fucking long. There's a lot of shit to go through. So I think in terms of like the other singularities or lost belts, if they go on to like the lost belt arc, or the pseudo singularities, if they decide to like FGO Part 2 stuff, they'll probably go with more like a movie format. Like I said, Camelot is getting a movie, right? So, or is it multiple movies or just the one? I think it's just the one.
There was the first movie, and this is the second movie. I don't know about the other ones right now.
Right. But yeah, I feel like if they do more FGO like adaptations, which they probably will, I don't see why not. Like it's money, right? Fate's a big property.
Yeah, for sure.
They'll probably go with movies. I think more than likely. I feel like it's just the safer route to go on. But yeah, I think just in terms of this story, the anime format works a lot better.
Okay.
But yeah.
I guess with that, I mean, I don't really have any. Do you guys have any more additional questions about Fate FGO? It's been pretty. I mean, again, it's a little bit more of an enhancement of the game rather than like it being some sort of like mad original story, right? Or
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Nier.
Yeah.
How are the power levels? Because I saw Ishtar shooting Genders. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But how strong is she compared to Gilgamesh? Caster Gilgamesh.
I mean, Gilgamesh is like on par with her. He always has been, right? So, I think the anime does a really, really good job of showing just like the power of servants. And I guess not only the power of servants, but also just like the power of the age of the gods, right? A lot of the characters in this story that are fighting, they're not servants, right? They're gods, right? Like Enkidu is not a servant. Gilgamesh is not a servant in this. So I'm pretty sure Ishtar in this is a pseudo servant in a way, because she was obviously summoned into a body. But yeah, like a lot of the characters in this are just like they're just gods, and it shows like how powerful a lot of them are.
So Nier, who would win in a fight?
So
Archer from UBW or Jaguar Man?
Probably Jaguar Man.
Good.
yeah, I got a question for you. Why does Ishtar look like Rin, and why does Jaguar Man look like Taiga?
So Babylonia is sort of the first instance where they really explained like the idea of what a pseudo servant is. So typically, a servant or basically a god, a divine spirit, cannot be summoned as a servant under normal rules. So the only way to be able to do that is for them to be summoned into a compatible body, like a compatible person. They're never. So the thing is, Ishtar being in Rin's body, it's never really like explained. Like, yeah, Rin was in Babylonia. It's more of like somebody that was pretty much exactly like Rin was in Babylonia, essentially.
This Rin-like person, huh?
Yeah. I don't think they're like literally Rin and Taiga. I'm pretty sure it's kind of just like, yeah, they're basically Rin and Taiga, but like they're
You
just
don't.
here.
Is it
you
sort of
know?
like you don't really know that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more of like a don't think about it too hard
Yeah.
thing.
Like you're not supposed to really be in the know about this kind of.
It's
it's
more like, hey, you remember those cool characters from Fate that you like so much? Want to see them
Yeah.
again?
I mean, to be
Cool.
fair, Jaguar Man is largely a joke character, so it's fairly
it fits the bill.
it's fairly excusable for just Taiga to just show up, right?
Yeah.
For Rin's case, it's not really like explained super in detail, but they basically say like, yeah, this was just a person, and she just happens to look and act exactly like Rin
Yeah.
in Babylonia.
Magic.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the typical case of FGOs. Here's this servant. We designed her before thinking about where we're putting her.
What the hell is the
Oh,
story?
okay. Yeah,
Please
because
don't think about it too hard.
Because I
Also,
was wondering if it
also,
would wind up like, oh, like, Rin went back through the same way they did, and then
the
fucking
issue that's sort of
had
the eternal
Ishtar put it.
paradox. That's the sort of eternal paradox with Fate, right? Where it's like, the characters in the original series have just so much brand power within themselves. So the natural sort of inclination was just to be like, all right, what if we made like Saber, but it was like Thanksgiving outfit, like you know what I mean? It's like Saber, but it was like maybe she's like in a clam, like you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
this kind of shit. And
What
then
if we made
later on,
Rin, but she was blonde
yeah,
and also a god?
yeah, exactly.
But near
So-
Blonde Rin already exists in Fate Extra, so they had an excuse to use a Blonde Rin.
Mm-hmm.
But then later on, when more serious story needs to happen, and then Rin kind of pops in, you're like, But yeah, I mean, again, I don't think anybody really minds. Like anybody really minds, but it is definitely a pretty funny thing.
Yeah,
say,
well,
yeah.
for Jaguar Man, who made the onesie and the fucking Converse?
That is Jaguar Man's natural state of being. I'm very curious as to how they're going to handle her just sudden transformation into a Yakuza boss, but
I
You
saw
know.
that art. I was like, what the fuck?
yes, that happens in the singularity. So I'm not sure how they're going to treat it. I'm pretty sure. I mean, Jaguar Man's largely a joke character throughout the entire singularity. So she's kind of just there. She's one of those characters that's just like, I'm breaking the rules because I'm a joke character, right? But I mean, she's fucking strong too. She's basically, she is a god. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, she fucking beats the shit out of all of them.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting to happen at all. Honestly,
Yeah.
I thought the only scene that Jaguar Man had was in the jungle, and then she runs off, and that's it.
she's pretty important actually. I mean, every character in all the singularities end up being quite important, but yeah, she saves the day a few times. But yeah, I mean, there's
Wow,
a
that's a
lot
spoiler. You mean to tell me she's not a villain?
of no, like I said earlier, there's only two villains throughout the entirety of Babylonia. I mean, the other goddesses they're I guess, adversaries, but they're not really villains, right? So, but yeah, I'm very interested to see how they'll handle this because, like I've been saying, this is a very, very long story.
Yeah.
And they have limited time to get through all of it. I have a sneaking suspicion it's probably going to go for a second season, second core, whatever. But for right now, it's good. It's what you would expect from a Fate adaptation. Fate Grand Order is obviously a very different beast from all the other Fate entries, but I mean, if you're a fan of Fate, watch it. I guess. I mean, it's
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
all
a
new
fan
and
of
blue.
Fate, I would assume you're probably
you're-
playing Fate Grand Order.
I'm
Right?
not.
Yeah, well,
I'm not.
you're a very different beast. So,
Anyways,
So near.
yep.
If there's Ishtar, who is Space Ishtar? Why she got
I-
guns?
I have not been reading these recent Saber Wars stuff. so I don't
anyways,
know.
with that said, thank you, Nier, for helping cover Fate Grand Order, Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia, I believe it is the name.
Yes.
I know,
So
definitely.
Spire. Speaking of books, and King Solomon
Yes.
and the Miss Gilgamesh being the oldest recorded hero in history. Tell us about nerd stuff.
nerd stuff.
I don't know.
Well, yeah.
Tell us
well,
about your papyrus wrapping
Yes.
the
Okay.
hieroglyphics. I don't know.
All right. Well, I did watch another Isekai. This one is one that's again been. I mean, I haven't necessarily been keeping up with it in terms of the original material, but it has like the premise itself has definitely taken a close spot in my heart for a while, and it is called Honsuki no Gekkokujo, or also known as Ascendance of a Bookworm. So this is a, I believe, light novel / web novel original. Became obviously an anime here. It is adapted by, headed by Ajiado, who started out kind of helping with stuff like Doraemon and like Chibi Maruko-chan and like these kinds of more like kiddie animations. Some of the effects that which you can see in these things, and then later kind of went on to stuff like I believe they did, or they Izeta. They headed Izeta. They headed How Not to Summon Demon Lord. They did Genshin 2, I believe, Genshin Season 2, and some other stuff. And it was pretty. They've been doing a decent amount of other stuff, and they again now are not doing Ascendance of a Bookworm. Again, audio visuals wise, it can kind of be seen. It's pretty. The animations aren't really anything home to write about, but it does the job in a very sort of shonen kind of way. The Isekai escape from being peasant. Isekai escape the room simulator. But so Ascendance of Bookworm, you have the main girl. She I forget what her name is, original one, but when she was in her original world, she dies. She becomes a mine, who is a very young, weak daughter of a poor soldier, a peasant girl essentially. And then it's a feudal world, low literacy rate, very few books, and the ones that do exist are very very expensive or pretty much owned by nobles. But in her previous life, she loved books, so she can't deal with this shit essentially. So she decides she wants to improve her life, make her own books, so on and so forth, and she moves on. Yeah, she was crushed. The picture said, I don't know whether she was necessarily crushed by a pile of books, but then, as the animation suggests, but she did like die pretty early on.
So
Isekai, give me a hairpin.
So
But,
let me ask you this real
yes.
quick. So she's making her own books?
Yes.
Isn't that's not a librarian? That's it. What's
Well, I don't think
A
she's.
writer.
yeah?
Well, they didn't say she was a librarian. I mean, yeah, she kind of wants to become a librarian. It's complicated.
So
So it's
she's
like
she's like
she kind
J.K.
of just
Rowling.
wants. She kind of just wants to be surrounded by books. I don't necessarily think that's a librarian necessarily, but that's the closest English.
How old is she before she got isekai?
I forget. She is. I think she says it was a college. She was a college girl, something like that.
How much knowledge does a college girl have before?
Uh, I mean, glorious.
If she wants to write her own books, her own books won't be very interesting to her, won't it? She won't have books on like biology and medicine or
apparently
whatnot.
she's like read a lot of stuff, so she's just writing her own books that way with her own glorious, Nipponese knowledge, right? That's always sort of how it goes, right? It's
She sounds
like Nipponese people always know how to make, the best food, this and that, do-it-yourself technology, build their own
my
houses.
favorite is when they learn how to make glass making,
or soap or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's essentially that's sort of how it starts out, and then the rest of this is sort of an isekai thing, but it's not it's not like of the type that Toast is mentioning, where it's a little bit more like action and like defeating enemies heavy. This one is pretty much 100%. This is my life. I'm gonna live it. I'm gonna make stuff in it. That's nice, so on and so forth. So it's a very sort of relaxing, quote unquote, afterlife isekai kind of thing. So it does. So my opinion on it is the audiovisual side. I think it does work out decently. I was surprised by it, and this kind of, in a sense, for me, this was a slight proof of concept for what's coming ahead. Just because, again, as I mentioned early on when I was talking with Toast, I think in the future, not just looking at what's happening over at fanfiction.net/shousetsu, but generally what's been adapted recently, I think a lot more isekai series coming up are going to be of the type where a Japanese person gets transported to another world, and then they have a relaxing time, and they farm and make soap, and become rich by selling Japanese technology and all that garbage. So this was a slight proof of concept in both. Will that sort of slower, more after story feeling, a more relaxed, no real enemies, building up kind of thing work? And secondly, a more heavily, I want to say, RPG nature, right? So in a sense, Shield Hero kind of tried to do it in the original material, but again, Shield Hero kind of got in the anime, it was a lot more truncated into the action and general story, right? Whereas in the original material, there was a lot more sort of building and stats and mixing and fusing and crafting and so on and so forth. But I think Ascendance of a Bookworm, although it doesn't necessarily have stats and RPG stuff, it definitely has this more sense of like, oh, how do I make money? Let's go make some stuff, and then with this, I'll make some other stuff, and then I'm still a kid, so I have to get my mother to take me here, and then sort of this sort of quest solving in a sense, right? The standard RPG, gathering items, doing quests, to using those rewards to do other stuff, and a very, again, RPG game sense rather than there is a certain story going on. There's a sort of chronology going on. You have died of dysentery already. But Cecilia, yeah, Cecilia just like, congratulations on your reincarnation. You have pox airport. But so as a proof of concept in terms of validating whether this sort of RPG style and this more relaxed isekai after story style will work, I think it is an okay success gateway. I wouldn't say it's the best thing I've ever seen, but it certainly works. It's a charming kind of thing going on. it doesn't have any points where I'm just thinking, man, this girl could be doing something else, or this is like, I guess I'm used to definitely slower series, so I'm a little bit more attuned to this kind of stuff. But I wasn't necessarily thinking like, oh my god, like, are they really gonna spend more time on blah blah? I wasn't necessarily thinking that, and it kind of panned out pretty well for me. I would say that by now I've seen, notorious Nipponese isekai people make soap and make Japanese technology, food, whatever, a million times. So when I see, this girl make the perfume, the soap, whatever, make the books, I'm not particularly impressed by this isekai arc. But again, as a proof of concept, I think it works decently well. Is sort of what I'll say. It also does help that the voice actor Iguchi Yuka presents the role of the kid kind of just wandering around, not knowing what the hell is going on, pretty decently. Yuka Iguchi again is the voice most famous for Index and a certain magical index, of course. So that definitely helped a little bit. It's a beast, Well, yeah, she is definitely mediocre, but glorious Nippon, right? But yeah, that's sort of all I had to say about it.
Hey, Spire.
Yeah.
Explain, defend yourself.
Defend myself.
Tell me about that one scene where she was what was it? She was making pages on clay or whatever. She was recording something, and then it got stepped on, and then she started having like a seizure, and she was all like, "I want to read books," and then she started eating paper or something. What was the thing? What was that one scene? She was like, "I want to read something," and then she started hyperventilating and eating books.
Well, she just starts kind of acting out. It's like, again, that sort of direction is a little bit. I mean,
Does she
I haven't read the original, and it's probably in the original, but I think that sort of overacting is also part of the direction that Ajiado, the studio, kind of likes doing. Again, they are used to doing that sort of stuff because they're used to writing more slapsticky, more kind of not surreal, but that sort of like wacky kind of overreactions from the previous series. So that's sort of what I'm thinking was happening. Sorry, but yeah, that's sort of all.
Spire, let me ask you this: is it that she really likes books, or is it that she really wants to learn? Is she?
It's probably a little bit of both, right? I mean, mostly books, but also, I mean, if you're not just reading books and then you're like, oh, there's text and images on the page, okay,
Yeah.
and then just close the book. You're presumably getting something out of it.
So why doesn't she make do with what do they use back then? An abacus, yeah, an abacus.
I mean, an abacus doesn't necessarily.
You don't.
An abacus.
I don't know
what
what did they have back then for knowledge? An abacus. Reading the stars. I don't know.
You pass knowledge down by word of mouth, right? In general.
Wow.
But,
so like speakers.
And mentorship, right? But the idea is that her favorite form of learning and getting to know about things were books, or are books rather. So that's how she gets on. But anyways,
what? So are you saying she would be interested? She would, like, if she was having book withdrawal, you could give her something like sheet music and she'd feel better?
I mean, I guess maybe, who knows?
I can't read sheet music though. That wouldn't help me.
Well, you're not her, so. But anyways, that's pretty much all I had to say. I think, again, if you do like isekai, and if you want to see how you would respond to this, and I do fully believe it is a more shift in how much more of these sorts of isekai, more relaxed after story isekai is coming down the line. If you're not sure of how you'll react to that, I think you should check this one out because it is pretty much full on. There's no stuff like bosses or demon kings that the girl's gonna do. It's just about books. So I think
What's your greatest enemy? Book moths?
fainting
right?
every 5 minutes.
Oh. Oh
But,
yeah, because she's got a weak body, right?
yeah.
Maybe
But,
maybe she should eat the books and get more fiber.
get more fiber. Yeah. Anyways, that's all I had to say for now, and that is pretty much Ascendance of a Bookworm, or Honsuki no Gekko Kojo. And with that, we are done with covering our series, and we're going to move quickly on to the news for these past 2 weeks. Thankfully, there's not too much news here. A little bit of awards and so on, but not much else. So we'll cover that real quickly, and then move on to our shoutouts and calls. First, listing a little bit of award stuff. First off, Makoto Shinkai's Weathering with You, also known as Tenkinoko, his newest film, won the Audience Award along with Sabu Braitman and Elia Gobnovilik, the Swallows of Kabul film at the Animation is Film Festival in Los Angeles this past weekend. The film's October 18th screening at the festival was the film's United States premiere, with director Shinkai and producer Genki Kawamura appearing in person. Jeremy Clepens, I Lost My Body film, won the grand prize during the October 18th through 20th festival. So the festival also hosted the North America premiere of the Children of the Sea film, the West Coast premiere of the Ride Your Wave film, and the screening of the Senkoro Connect anime. But yeah, so forth.
Watch all of those.
Yeah. So please do check out, I guess, Tenkinoko. It's his newest one if you do like Makoto Shinkai. And his obviously other recent one, I guess everybody should know by now, is Kimi no Na or Your Name. So if you like that, you should also check this one out as well. I don't think did he say anything that was like you know how he said Kimi no Na wasn't very satisfactory, like he didn't.
Yeah, he wasn't happy with it.
Yeah.
I don't think he said anything like that about this one.
Yeah, okay. So this might turn out to be pretty good. I honestly kind of agreed with what Makoto Shinkai said, mainly because it was a little bit short in terms of like everything he wanted to pack in with
Yeah.
Kimi no Na, but Weathering with You might be better. But yeah, check it out. Next, WW Wave Corporation announced on Friday the winner of the Anime Kakuyaku Souryo Waku Sodatsu Manga Taisho contest for both amateur and pro manga creators. Musubi or Onigiri's Okami-san wa Taberaratai, or I Want to Be Eaten by a Wolf, Teens Love Manga won the award, and as a result, the manga will get an anime adaptation. The manga will also get a serialization and compiled print volumes. Author Onigiri will also receive 500,000 yen, or about $4,620. So when they say like teens love and all this kind of stuff, they mean kind of small. I think listeners of this podcast kind of know that in recent seasons, there's always this one sort of show every season where it's like smut, and it's like one was about what is it like a bishop that was doing like indecent stuff, and then this season it's like XL Joshi, right? Like the boss and the XL dildo or whatever it is, right? And then another one was the firefighters, sexy firefighters, right?
Yeah.
So these sorts of things is where that comes from. So actually, so previous anime to debut through Comic Fest Anime Zone include Souryo to Majiwaru Shikioku no Yoru ni, which is the monk one in April 2017. What is it? Sweet Punishment in April 2018. I believe that was where with the trailer where it's like the girl was trying to like escape the prison or something like that. Shudengo Capsule Hotel de Joshi ni Binatsu Tsudawaru Yoru, the one where they like come back home after drinking and end up in a castle hotel together or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the most infamous one, the firefighters one that we just mentioned, Yubisaka Kara no Honki no Netsucho, Osana Najimi wa Shouboushi, which is the firefighter one, and XL Joshi no October. So If you're wondering where those smut things come from, this is the culprit. Just saying. Comic Fest Anime Zone. So blame these motherfuckers. Next, a little bit of interesting news in terms of live action stuff that I want to conclude here. Capcom released on Tuesday its consolidated business results for the 6 months ended September 30th, 2019. The company confirmed in the report that the planned live-action film project of its Mega Man game franchise is still in development.
Thank God.
Capcom announced in October 2018 that Henry Juice and Ariel Schulman of Catfish and Paranormal Activity 3 and 4 fame are writing and directing the project, with Masaoka of Heroes fame producing the project. The film is tentatively titled Mega Man. The Capcom noted in the October 2018 announcement that the film aims to appeal to a diverse audience. It will be an adaptation that maintains the world of the Mega Man games while incorporating to the Korean production and entertainment value that Hollywood movies are known for.
I can't wait for
He's gonna look
Mega Man.
He's gonna look like the Metroid Prime team's Mega Man.
You know what was a Mega Man cartoon that tried to aim to appeal to a diverse audience? Mega Man Fully Charged. And what happened to that? It got canceled.
Oh my god. Anyways, I don't even know what to say to this one.
I am not hopeful for this.
I can't fucking wait.
I hope it's just like
I hope
it's-
Christoph Waltz gets cast
No,
in this one too.
I hope fucking Ryan Reynolds plays Mega Man. This.
Oh my god.
I like-
Hey,
He'll be
what?
Zero, bro.
Yeah, I want him. I want him to be Zero. I want a huge
Jake
to be
Jake
Mega
Gyllenhaal to play like Mega Man.
Man. Yeah, Jake
Like-
Gyllenhaal will be Proto Man. It's gonna be
Oh my
great.
god.
The only good Mega Man cartoon that was not an anime was the 1994 one. And Fully Charged sucked because it was a Mega Man was a robot cyborg and he had another robot
Hey,
inside his
maybe
head.
they're just pulling the wool over our eyes, right? And this is actually a Battle Network live action series.
You mean NT Warrior? That was good.
Yeah, maybe it's gonna be NT War, but live action. But Mega Man's still gonna be CG.
Anyways.
Get ready to get Mega.
Anyways, next on the line, just some people awards here. The Japanese government announced Nintendo game designer Shigeru Miyamoto and manga creator Moto Hagio as two recipients of this year's Personal Cultural Merit Honor on Tuesday. Also receiving the award is film director Nobuhiko Obayashi, who did House live action of the Drifting Classroom and The Girl Who Loved Through Time, as well as 18 other winners. Shigeru Miyamoto, I don't think I need to explain. Hagio is a pioneer of shoujo and shonen ai manga, and her works helped establish conventions of those in other fields. Hagio's They Were 11, A Drunken Dream, and Other Stories, AA, The Heart of Thomas, and Other Barbara manga have English releases. So on and so forth. So congratulations to them. Also, the Japanese government announced on Saturday that manga creator Osamu Akimoto is receiving the Fall 2019 Medal with Purple Ribbon. Wow, that's an interesting name. The medal is awarded to individuals who have contributed to academic and artistic developments, improvement, and accomplishments. A total of 17 people, including actress Kimiko Yo of Maho Tsukai ni Taitsetsu Nakoto and Suicide Club fame, were selected to receive the award this month. Akimoto, age 66, launched the Kochira Katsikaku Kameari-kuen Mae Hatsu. Oh my god, okay. Kochira Katsikaku Kameari-kuen Mae Hashutsujo police comedy manga in 1976, and he ended the series in September 26th after 40 years of serialization. The manga is Weekly Shonen Jump's longest-running manga series. So, please congratulate him on his award here. And just one piece of other person news here. The official website for Restage, monthly comedy magazine, and Pony Canyon's multimedia project about idol singers in middle school, announced on Friday that Yumiri Hanamori Yumiri, is graduating from the franchise as the role of Haruka Itsumura due to a knee injury. Hanamori's final performance as a character will be at the Prism Live third stage reflection event on November 17th. The website stated that the staff came to the decision after consulting with Hanamori about the situation. The staff will reveal the replacement voice actors for the character at a later date. M&I, Hanamori's agency, additionally stated on Friday that a doctor has diagnosed the injury as quote-unquote patellar subluxation, or also known as partial dislocation of the kneecap, and torn meniscus. So very, very unfortunate, and I hope she can recover quickly and get back to full-time, just running, advancing in her career. But for right now, she will be stepping down from role in Restage. So very unfortunate. And yeah, that's pretty much about all of the news we had for today. And with that, we'll move straight on to our shoutouts and callouts. So, as per usual, everybody here gets one shoutout and one callout each. And a shoutout is one thing that you want to praise, one thing that gives you a big grin on your face whenever you think about it these past 2 weeks. It can be any person, place, or thing. And of course, the call out is something that you hate. Maybe maybe eating too much spice in the evening led you to have a stomach ache. Calling out your stomach ache. Maybe some kids running in front of your car as you were driving and you were like, what the hell? Anything that you want to be angry at, particularly in the last 2 weeks. And it can be any person, place, or thing. I guess I'll go first here. And my call out. Actually, I want to go shout out first. So
wow, you're breaking your own rules, Fire.
Sorry. So my shout out is to Ring Fit, or whoever made Ring Fit. Although it's not really a shout out, but it's like the Ring Fit, not the designer, it's just the Ring Fit, because it's essentially like at this point, I guess it's the second coming of Wii Fit, right? But when Wii Fit was made, like streaming culture wasn't really as much of a thing. But now everybody's streaming, so everybody's just streaming Ring Fit and stuff like that, or tweeting about Ring Fit or Instagramming Ring Fit or whatever. And it's the most hilarious thing ever because everybody is just sorry. So it's just going through, watching all these streamers just kind of suffer in the sort of doing the exercise, doing the ring fit and stuff like that. It's pretty hilarious to watch. And I don't know what else to say. It's like just this week alone, I've watched 8 different people suffer through ring fit and just running and squatting and being
so stupid.
Yeah,
Like
the worst part is the exercises related to the ring aren't
dumb.
really, yeah, they're not actual exercise, and the exercises that are actually effective, such as doing reverse crunches or squats or whatever, aren't they're the only effective ones, but they're not related to the ring, right?
Yeah,
it's like some of them you put the ring down next to you and you're like, dude, reverse crunches, and you're just like, wait, what?
Okay. Yeah, the ring is only there to make you look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why people. I don't know. I feel like if literally the Ring Fit people just made a a stick, just like a longer Wii nunchuck, people would still buy it and play it, but for some reason it just had to be a fucking car tire, right? I don't know what the hell's going on there. But it was pretty funny watching everybody just suffer through the exercises. People are literally just all they're doing is side, it's where you bend over to the side to stretch, I guess, your obliques in a sense, right?
Yeah.
and they're just like dying. It's like, okay, alrighty then. But yeah, that's my shout. What is my call out here? My call out is I don't really have too much of a it's too fucking I guess it's not really I guess this isn't really anime. Well,
Doesn't need to be, bro.
yeah, I was trying cuz like before I forgot it, I had something that was anime related, but then I forgot about it, which was very unfortunate. But I'm going to call out the kids who yesterday freaking like playing like running around screaming, and then I was like, oh, like I guess kids will just fucking play outside, whatever. And then like 30 minutes later, like one of them just started playing a violin outside the house.
Nice.
What's happening? Like,
Just trying to fucking
Anime.
seduce you, dude.
Wow, I
like-
watched Hibike Euphonium once.
yeah. I'm just like, what the hell is happening? So fuck these people.
Were they any good?
That's all. No, it was like a 6-year-old kid playing like.
Were they any good?
No, they were bad.
Should have
But
told
yeah.
him.
Yeah, you should have told me.
But yeah, that was very unfortunate. So that's my call out. Next on the line is Toast.
Oh, damn it. Alright. My shout out. I don't know. This Life Gear flashlight plus glow stick I bought for like $2.
What?
It's a Halloween edition. It's a flashlight that has a glow stick on it, and at the very bottom there's a rape whistle.
Mm.
You know,
Oh,
Nice.
freak. Okay.
this is for like the trick or treaters. It's like
Very festive.
yeah,
Don't do that, please.
you know, just in case there's stranger danger.
That sounds
about.
like you. Not gonna lie, that just sounds like you bought a broken dog whistle.
Well, I was blowing very gently. I don't want to use the whole thing. But yeah,
Hey, he
this
doesn't want someone to call the police,
yeah.
report a rape.
This is for children, but I was like, it's $2. I'll take it.
Okay.
Pretty neat. That's it.
Your call out?
Oh, my call out. What did I? Oh yeah, my call out is to the 2 days of snow that happened on the 30th and the 31st. Not. Snow's cool and all, but now I have this backup of candy that I don't want.
Right.
You kids should be taking it from me. I only got like 20 people.
Okay.
It's like it's the rule. The rule is that like all the unwanted candy that you don't want, you give it to the last trick or treater on that day, right?
I don't think that's how. it
No,
works,
the
but
rule
okay.
is you fucking eat it the next
I don't
day.
want it.
Yeah.
I don't want ugly Twizzlers and the bad
Oh.
flavors of Jolly Rancher.
Well, I mean,
You should have given out the bad flavors then.
I don't
Wait,
give
wait,
out
which-
actual
which-
candy, so I wouldn't. I only
Yeah.
give out
They
chocolate.
they only took the good kinds. Like
I feel
Apple.
like in the future,
I
like,
like apple.
2050, everybody will just homogenize into just either giving out Twix, Reese's, or just like maybe another like other like chocolate thing. Like that'll be
I was
it.
giving out, I was
Snickers.
giving out like well, I didn't even really give out it. I don't think I didn't answer the door this time. I don't think anyone actually rang my doorbell.
One child rang our doorbell.
was it a fat child?
No, he was pretty rude.
Did you give him candy?
I mean,
What candy do you Canadians
I'm not
have?
gonna,
Wait,
I'm not gonna answer. I'm not gonna answer the door with a bowl of candy in my hand and be like, "Yeah, you never mind. You don't get any."
Yeah.
What Canadian specialties do you have near? I forgot. Tim
Tim Tam.
Tams.
What the fuck is a Tim Tam?
Oh, never mind. That's
Isn't
Australian.
that
Oh.
apparently?
I don't know.
I think that's a wafer candy. A wafer
Um,
chocolate.
We just bought this thing of like Kit Kats, Smarties,
Didn't Nier talk about that like nougat candy?
Coffee
sometime?
Crisps.
Smartie.
Yeah, Coffee Crisps.
Yeah.
And yeah, Smarties, Kit Kats, Coffee Crisps, and Arrows.
Pretty good.
What
They're
the hell
like
are
those?
Arrows?
Smarties are very smart.
Yeah, Arrows.
Oh,
Smarties are very
Arrow.
like,
Oh,
hard
I don't
candy
know
to
what
that's
it.
like
that
the
is.
aerated. That's like the aerated chocolate
Yeah,
or
with the
whatever.
bubbles
Yeah,
in
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
Oh, Arrow, like
That's
oh.
a scam so that
I,
they
th-
can
I
sell
thought
you
you
less
meant like
chocolate. By the way.
I thought you meant Arrow like green Arrow candy, and I'm like,
Hey,
that
man.
sounds nice.
The mint arrows, they're fucking delicious, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, way to fucking get scammed by them, dude.
But I do, yeah.
By big chocolate.
Honestly, the good thing about like not getting many people is the fact that like I don't know, like the thing is, it's like it sounds kind of antisocial, but it's like it's not once you actually like experience it. It's like
It's a
whenever
fucking pain in the ass.
whenever a kid comes, you have to. It's not just about like giving them candies, like especially since if like the parent is there, right? And obviously 99% of the time the parent will be there. You'll have to be like, oh, that's a nice costume. Who are you? Blah, blah, blah. And you'll have to like do this talk about like
I don't
like
do
you're
that
interested in
shit,
the
bruh.
costume.
They
But-
say
but
trick or
usually-
treat, I give them a handful of candy and I close the door.
Pretty much.
but usually you kind of like usually
No.
you see people kind of do that stuff, right? Where it's like,
No.
oh, that's a cute
Just
costume.
grab a
so, like,
handful of candy,
Sometimes, yeah.
just get you
They say
Do you
like a
guys not?
full professional pitch stance, and
Just whip it in their face.
they say trick or
I
treat.
close-
You give
close
them
the door as
candy,
fast
they
as
say
possible.
thank you, and you say then close the door.
Yeah, you go. Ugh.
Like then you close the door. That's it.
Yeah,
actually,
but-
easy way to avoid all that too is to just be in like a fucking weird costume when you open the door.
Oh,
Just
oh.
answer
Dress
the
up like
door
as a
and
scarecrow.
look really mad. Just be red in the face and just throw the candy all over the ground and slam the door.
Oh yeah, this one time I was in a full body costume, like my maid costume, and I was all like, some I think some Mexican lady was like, "Oh, what a nice costume! Can I take a picture?" And I'm like, "No." And she looked really offended, and I closed the door.
No.
Anyways,
And I'm like, you're gonna put it on your Instagram? No, thanks. Just close the door on
Actually,
her.
next level is just fucking leave the bowl out that says take one, even though you're home.
But then I'll
and
feel
you
bad
just
if there's some other people.
I saw a fucking picture that was a bottle of Coke on the ground, and there was a note beside it that said, "Please take one sip."
What?
So good. It should be no. It should be for like you know how it's like if you're like expecting a lot of like mainly just like teenage, like let's say you're like in a college city where it's like you're near a university or something like that, you should just leave like a beer keg or something like that outside and just like please only take one sip or one chug, please. But yeah, anyways, that was
I'm gonna
toast,
leave an
right?
entire
That was
turkey
me,
dinner outside of my door next year.
Yeah, just please take one slice.
Please take one carving.
Yeah. Anyways, Nier. Shout out to college.
Oh man, it's been a wild couple weeks.
Yeah.
Death Stranding came out.
Oh yeah,
Wait,
Conan
wait,
O'Brien
that
came out?
collaboration.
I thought it was out on like a week later.
Oh yeah,
No,
Death
yeah, that
Stranding
didn't come
reviews
out.
came out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Death
reviews,
Stranding comes out on the 8th, I think. But yeah, the reviews are out, and wow.
6
Wow.
6
Game
point.
sooks.
Apparently that game sucks ass.
In what way though? It's like specific.
Apparently every way. So, me and my good pal Sin and my good pal Bush, who are in this server, we're up at like 6 in the fucking morning, reading Death Stranding reviews, because the embargo lifted or whatever.
Mhm.
And we were going through, I was reading. First, I read was it Game Informer's review. Read the whole thing. And they gave it a 7 at the end of it, right? And pretty much the whole review was just them saying the gameplay is extremely boring. It's extremely monotonous. the systems that are in place are largely worthless because a lot of the combat and stuff is just it's a chore, right? The world is empty. The player interaction is basically it's just Dark Souls, right? But instead of messages, it's just people like leaving ladders or camps or whatever. And the story is like it's just exactly what you'd expect from Kojima. It's just standard, very standard themes presented in a very convoluted way that largely amounts to nothing, right? Just a lot of meaningless dialogue, and it's at the end of the day boring, right? It's a very polished game, but at the end of the day, it's boring.
It's a polished pile of shit. Is what you're saying.
More or less.
Yeah.
I don't.
Does it feel like a
personally-
lot of money? Do the reviews say like it feels like a lot of money went into it, but it just had no aim, or was it like even though a lot of money went into it, it just feels like there's like nothing, like there's just not much care.
I think I don't know. I mean, for all of Kojima's faults, I'll say it loud and proud. I don't like Kojima. I don't like the way he carries himself. I don't like the way he just makes games anymore.
He invented camera angles, dude.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, he puts a lot of effort into the games he makes, right? So I don't think Death Stranding is like an aimless game. I don't think that it was, put together shoddily. I think it was probably too broad. I think Kojima's writing is not good. There's a lot of issues that just come with being a game that's directed by Hideo Kojima. But from what I got from a lot of the reviews, even the reviews that gave it fucking 10 out of 10, 100 perfect score,
Right.
is that it's boring. It's not a fun game. I literally posted reviews that said, in the basic synopses, that Death Stranding's not a fun game.
It's an important.
Yeah, it's not a fun game, but its message is important. And
You
I
mean-
don't
you
really-
mean like-
what's the message? What's the message though?
from what I gathered, the message at the end of it all is just a message of
Connection?
coming together, connecting,
connection,
and
yeah,
coming
yeah.
together and
The
using
strands or whatever the fuck it is.
using your bonds to overcome any challenge.
That seems like a very deep lesson, I'm sure.
By the way, this is my call out. I don't think I mentioned that, but
I think it's pretty obvious here.
yeah.
Okay.
I guess really, I'm just calling out.
Self-important.
I don't really know
Games?
what the word is anymore. Because it's hard for me to say that like Death Stranding is at fault. For the
Kojima?
coverage that it's getting. I can call out Kojima all I want, right? Like I've expressed my grievances with the way Kojima makes games, the way Kojima writes, the way Kojima acts, the way Kojima thinks he's like some.
I mean, in this case,
Fucking prophet.
Isn't the way that Kojima pushed pretty hard for Death Stranding to be kind of marketed in this way, though, right? It's not just Kojima being Kojima. Kojima specific for this game was just like.
I think what I'm trying to call out here is more of the reaction to Death Stranding.
Death Stranding, the game coming out, or before that?
Well, just like I guess all of it, really.
Okay.
So we see Death Stranding, right? Death Stranding gets revealed. It's an enigma. Nobody knows what the fuck it's about.
Sure.
What it's going to be. All we know is that Kojima's making.
Right.
And for a lot of people, that's all they need, right?
That's enough, yeah.
But for me, I always needed more. I needed to know what the game is about, what kind of game it is, all that. And for 3 years, we don't see that. We get more cryptic bullshit that doesn't mean anything. All we get is like, hey, this celebrity's in the game, and this celebrity's in the game, and this celebrity's in the game. And then, years go by, and we finally get gameplay, right?
Mhm.
We see that it's about delivering packages and connecting people. And the immediate response from pretty much everybody is like, there has to be more than that, right? There's got to be more to the game. And reviews come out, and lo and behold, there isn't. That's it. That's all you're doing. You're walking across this empty world, delivering packages, and sometimes ghosts attack you, and it's more of an annoyance than it is like a challenge.
Right.
And then the game gets 10 out of 10. And I'm sitting here like reading these reviews where these reviewers are saying this game was so boring that I was frustrated. I was pissed off. And then at the end of the review, they say 10 out of 10. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like,
Could've
what
used
is
more
this?
reviews.
What is this reaction? Like, I don't understand how
it's like
you
that-
can.
It's like Steve Jobs and his reality vacuum or whatever it was called, right?
Yeah, I don't understand how somebody can write up an entire review basically expressing all their frustrations with how shitty this game was, how much it pissed them off, how bored out of their mind they were for like
Thanks, Kojima.
50 hours. Apparently this game is like 50 hours long,
I love you, Kojima.
standard. And
Yeah, it gets better at 25 in.
at the end of the review, they say, but it was all worth it. 10 out of 10. I don't understand. And then there's
You know-
other
Yeah,
reviews
why was
I'm
it
reading
worth it?
where they just say it was boring as shit. The dialogue dragged on for forever, like all Kojima games do. And at the end of the day, the story was just bog standard garbage.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, and then they're like, but the message was nice.
The message was pretty.
And it's like,
pretty.
okay, a horribly written book can have a very nice, positive, feel-good theme.
I mean,
but it's
Twilight
still-
is a love story, right?
Yeah, it's still a shitty book at the end of the day. It's still horribly written. So I don't understand why video games get this weird like
I don't
path.
think it's video games. I think it's Kojima. I do think it's Kojima.
Do you think? I feel like it's
I think it's Kojima. I think it's just the brand name.
What's
that's-
that? What's that one game where
it's the way his reputation precedes him. Because he is Kojima, he must have done something that is right. Else, I look stupid by following him so blindly, and I'm not stupid. So there must be something that Kojima must have done. It's sort of how the logic goes, right? It's the same thing as like investing time into a game, right? I obviously would. I'm not a stupid person. And only stupid people would invest time into bad games. So therefore, if I'm investing time into a game, this must not be a bad game. It is kind of this thing going on, right? This sort of self-hypnotism is honestly what I believe is going on. I don't think it's a game.
I mean, I
think,
guess, but you'd think, you would assume video game reviewers would be able to distinguish themselves from that train of thought, right?
Yeah, you would assume.
You would assume.
You'd
So
be wrong.
the precise thing, I don't think it's like this full mind control kind of thing. But what I'm thinking is going on. They're going through this and they're like, I have these little problems, blah blah, and all these problems, and it's nagging them at the back of their head, right, as they write this, and they're like, this problem, that problem, this problem, that problem, and then at the end of it, they're like, what this message? And then not only is this message whatever blah blah, but it's Kojima's message, so it gets a lot of value. And then they're sort of overselling that value because again, Kojima is he's Kojima, so it's like it must be super deep and really important and nice. And B, Kojima sold Death Stranding as this mystic like deep message thing, blah 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 thing, right? So that those two factors combined, and suddenly you have this overvalued message. You have to have a pretty high IQ to understand Kojima is a big favorite. It it kind of reminds me of, but obviously in a greater sense. I don't think the example I'm about to mention gets as much blind praise, but it kind of anime wise, it kind of reminds me of Urobuchi, right? Again, Urobuchi.
hey,
Right.
I obviously think Urobuchi has
hey.
a lot more shit.
I
than,
liked Fate Zero. I liked
I'm not talking
Madoka
about
Magica.
what I'm talking about is his general idea of sort of trying to trying to pretend like he has, the biggest, most complex, universe and message and writing kind of thing, right?
That belongs to
Both-
Akiyuki
both-
Shinbo.
both both Urobuchi and Kojima have this idea of, I don't want to say delusions of grandeur, but this idea of grandeur where they think that they can write out this sort of huge, complex message that would shame Hemingway, right? And
Can you really
sometimes it
fault
works out
them,
well,
though,
but sometimes
for that?
it doesn't.
I
Is the-
mean, that's my thing. Is
Like,
I
kind of feel
it's-
bad shitting on Kojima in that sense, and even like Urobuchi, because it's like for Urobuchi, everyone talked up like Kamen Rider Gaim as this fucking series that would blow my mind
Mhm.
from like even the standpoint of just Kamen Rider, and like
Mhm.
I watch it, I'm like, all right, I mean, it's pretty standard Kamen Rider. Like there were some slightly darker things in it, but that's not
Right,
hugely
exactly.
unexpected.
I think the
just
problem-
from the
yeah.
Kojima standpoint, it was just like it sucks because on one hand it's like I agree, but on the other hand it's like I don't want to. I feel, even though I will give him shit, obviously because it is his fault, but I still feel bad because there's so many people that, in a sense, like probably gaslight him into thinking what he's doing is significantly better than it is.
Yeah, I think the problem is on all fronts where it's like, could you, obviously, again, we can't fault writers for having big dreams, but both Kojima and Urobuchi, to a lesser extent, have these sorts of ideas of grandeur again. And on the other hand, because of some of their successes, and they have been very big successes, some people tend to be very vocal and kind of put them up on this pedestal, and that leads into very unfortunate misunderstandings about their future projects, about their current projects, about what they can actually do given X, Y, and Z story premises, right? So, very unfortunate situation all around. But I do think it was just people being blinded to that sort of star power at the end of the year, right? So,
Yeah, I
fair.
mean, I'm just curious if it's like just Kojima, right? Because I see in a lot
what
of
do you mean
Death
by that? Like,
in
oh,
a
you
lot
mean
of
the
Death Stranding's
fault?
reviews,
Yeah, okay.
there's this weird, almost like desperation to be
Justified?
like, Death Stranding pushes like this boundary of games as art, right? Like they're desperate.
That's like 3 games.
Yeah, they're desperate to be like, this game needs to be recognized as like art, because if it's not, then
They'll be wrong.
yeah, then I guess like then all of the build up, all of the like the marketing and all of the enigmatic trailers, like they were just for nothing, right? I feel like it goes beyond just Kojima, right? Like it goes
It
it
certainly
goes
does.
through the entire just experience of watching this game come out, right?
And also it's very different from something like, say, No Man's Sky, where No Man's Sky was such an obvious failure that everybody kind of had just to turn their heads and be like, yeah, they fucked up kind of thing. But Death Stranding is a little bit too nebulous, and that sort of leads into this unfortunate scenario where everybody kind of quote unquote take it as they please, right? And so some people can be like, well, I see some sort of magnificent art message, blah blah blah, and the other person can be like, yeah, but you're kind of just like, all you're doing is walking around and not harming this baby. And it's like,
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I bet most of the people who are hyping it up are the people who've only played Metal Gear Solid 5 and saying, "Oh, this is the epitome of Kojima's writing prowess." It's like it's most of the people who are like, "I've never played a Metal Gear before, but 5, but this is like the best game I've ever played ever." And
but
it's like,
anyways,
have you ever played 1 or 2
Yeah.
or 3?
there's a bit of an aimless call out, but I mean, just seeing that reaction to a game that like reviewers just admittedly said was mediocre and not fun to play was like it was very bizarre. Like I felt like I was in like a different world.
Okay,
where, like,
yeah, you felt like, am I the crazy one here, right? For a
yeah,
second.
like I'm reading this review where you're saying this game sucks,
yeah.
and then at the end you're saying it's pushing boundaries. Like
10 out of 10.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Your shout out?
my shout out probably I don't fucking know, man.
Grandmaster's Run.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I felt good. You know, the climb to Grandmasters, you know, it's kind of like Death Stranding. It wasn't fun, but at the end of the day, it was worth it.
Yeah.
Um,
The point was you got there.
yeah. You know, I don't know. I felt satisfied. I'll probably not do that anytime soon again, because it was very stressful.
Oh yeah.
It's very easy to get tilted when you're just climbing ladder like all day, and it's like,
and you're also strapped for time in that situation too.
yeah, because you know you only have a month to do it. Which, you know, I mean, some people they do it in like fucking 2 days. I don't know how
Yeah.
they can.
Which
I don't know
kinda-
how they can put themselves through that, but
Yeah.
like they I don't know, just the 1 month timeline, it just adds to the stress, especially when, like, you know, you sit down, you're like, okay, I'm gonna climb. I have, you know, like 6,000 points right now,
Mhm.
and then, you know, 3 hours later you're at like 4,000 points, and you're like, I gotta keep climbing.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
you know, I at least have to get up to where I was. But you know, I'm done with it. I'm Grandmaster for the rest of the little while till it lasts, and then you know, yeah, it was fun.
Okay.
Not really, but
But you got there. That's
yeah.
it's good stuff. Good stuff. Last but definitely not least, sorry to leave you hanging for a bit here. Dark. Shout out to Callouts, please.
Uh, shout outs to shout outs to BlizzCon for showing some neat
Free
shit.
Hong Kong.
Yeah, free Hong Kong.
Support
Diablo
human
4.
rights.
Diablo 4 looked cool. World of Warcraft Shadowlands looks like a really, really good apology expansion, as most of their apology expansions are. Overwatch 2 is like weird, but maybe it'll be cool. It's like really bizarre still. Forget what else they showed, but yeah, mostly like the World of Warcraft Shadowlands looks fucking awesome. And then for my call out, I'm gonna call out Blizzard. Because I don't know if that esports shit was ever resolved, but they did some real fucking bad shit. With they sold toys, so they sold toys on their store for like $10 or $15. And they said that 25% of the sales would go to helping the pools for the Mythic Dungeon Invitational and the Arenas like tournament at
Okay.
BlizzCon for their prize pools, which has a minimum of 500,000. It said. A minimum guaranteed pot of 500K. Now, the problem is in their wording is that, and with like the way it works with, you know, every other game out there that does this sort of promotional, you would think that it would be Blizzard fronts the 500K like they always do, and then whatever sales go to the pot, whatever sales were made, then just go into the pot again. That's not what happened. So apparently what happened was they were like, oh, okay, so the sales, 25% of the sales. So they must have made like 2.4 million on the toys, right? Okay, so now the pot is $660,000.
Oh,
So all they did was they took 25% of the sales and was like, okay, here's the pot now. We don't need to spend 500K this year. And then they didn't front any money. So that was
Very
why the
cool.
pool was $660,000. And everyone was just like, you literally stole from us. Like,
Yeah,
you fucking
that was
lied. Like,
fucked up.
like I wouldn't have
What?
bought. Like, I didn't buy the toys. I never buy the toys. It's kind of like why I think this is somewhat of a good thing, because hopefully now people will stop using the fucking Blizzard shop, in-game shop, because it's horrible in every way, shape, or form, no matter what's on it. Don't use it. But it was just like this really bizarre thing of like, I find it hard to believe that anyone at Blizzard itself made this decision, and I think this was more of like fucking Bobby Kodak's doing, because everyone at Blizzard, no matter who you are, no matter how up your own ass you are, when that's your company and you see all this shit happening recently and you're like, oh, yeah, here it is. Like, this is our grand idea to misword this thing and rip people off, essentially. Like,
Nice.
you'd have to know. Like, you could. I can't imagine like J. Allen Brack did it.
Yeah,
Also,
just
Cecion in chat saying they're selling the same type of item for a children's charity. That's a little bit different. Their charity pets, I think, that's a different story. I think that's fine to buy when they're coming out because 100% of those goes to the charity. None of that money goes to Blizzard. They just use it for a write-off later on, which is honestly fine because 100% of the proceeds go to charity. As long as you buy it within the time frame. Don't buy the pets when they go up on the store after the charity event is up. But yeah,
okay.
that shit was really, really stupid. Like, bafflingly stupid. Like, people want to talk about the Hong Kong thing being bad. Like, the Hong Kong thing, I can at least see like why they did it, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of agree. But this thing, it's like, what the fuck were you thinking? Like, everyone else around you has the system set up in a different way, and you know you're not doing it the same way as them, but you word it the exact same way as them, and you think people aren't going to be upset. Like,
I don't know. Blizzard's doing a lot of things lately where they think people just aren't going to notice. So,
Just kind of try to sneak it in there.
yeah.
yeah,
I don't know.
it's
I don't know who's making the decisions, but they're not very. They're not too thought out.
yeah, yeah, I just, I don't know what the fuck is going on with that.
Very unfortunate though. But anyways, thank you, Dark, for your shout out and call out. And with that, we are finally done with all of the sections of 4PA. And yeah, we are fine. I'm trying to think of the couple of schedules for the next couple of podcasts here. It's going to be pretty standard, I think, although we are closing in upon the end of the year. So a little bit of special episodes coming up in the next, within the next 2 months. So we'll have to just see how that unfolds. But yeah, going through the seasons. Next time we'll be able to cover a little bit more about again more sort of deeper series, more heavily plot involved series. So look out for that. And if you like what we do, again, special episodes. But yeah, if you like what we do, please follow us here on twitch.tv/4playerAnimeCast, where we do our recording live every other Saturday at starting 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about the latest and greatest in. Yeah, we're doing a sidecast for Azure Lane stuff. So
we are? Alright, cool.
No.
We're not.
Never.
So we do this every other Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about the latest and greatest in Japanese animation media. including anime, manga, light novels, visual novels, web novels, and so much more. So again, please follow us here on twitch.tv/4playAnimecast. That's the number 4. And as well as on our social media on Twitter at handle at 4ppAnimecast, as well as on Facebook, where we update when we're doing our episodes, any other sort of special updates, so on and so forth. You can check us on our YouTube channel as well. We have our VODs available both on Twitch archives and on YouTube, so you can check out in both formats wherever you please. That, we'll see you next time.